everybody, and welcome to the Halas Hall Hangover. We are 4-Star Chicago Sports, and on tonight's show, how did Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson do on their first draft together? Also, is Darnell Wright moving to the left side? And rumblings of Nick Chubb on the lakefront. We're going to get into that and much more right after this. Hello, and welcome back in, everybody. And finally, the draft has come to an end. We can all take a big, deep breath. We have a new roster. Looks like the Bears have finally filled out pretty close to their 90-man. I like some of the undrafted free agents. We're going to get into all that. How'd everybody survive this weekend's draft? How's everybody doing after the long haul?
Yeah, I was busy as hell all weekend, man, with work and everything going on at home. I did my best to keep up. It was a whirlwind for sure. I'm very happy with how the Bears came out of this offseason at this point. I'll say that 100%. Very happy.
After Thursday, I didn't have too much time to pay attention to it. I mean, I watched it on my phone. We did the show on Saturday, but outside of that, I was just catching up when I could.
Yeah. How'd you do, man?
I mean, the draft doesn't really affect my well-being or anything like that, Sean. I mean, I'm a little sick, a little under the weather, rough week at work, but besides that, I'm doing all right.
Good. Well, let's get.
And we're off to a blazing start, Joe.
Yeah, let's get right into it, guys. So let's
pick up the energy a little bit.
Yeah, where do we want to start off with, man? Nick Chubb, Darnell Wright going over to the left side. You guys tell me. What do you guys want to talk about first?
Sean, you do this all the time. You're the host. Send us in the direction.
Well, I want to give you guys the freedom to control.
You got it. No, you need to control
you know it. Here, I'll start off with Darnell Wright in this chatter about him going to the left side of the line. At first, picking Trapilo was really confusing to me because we obviously didn't need a right tackle. Now,
Trapoli cannoli.
Trapoli, Roly Trapoli.
Whatever. So here we go. Now we got the talks of moving what could be an all-pro right tackle over to the left side so we can start possibly our number 2 pick. Personally, I think going into this, Braxton Jones will be the starter if he's healthy, and Wright is going to be on the right side, and these guys will all be fighting for jobs. I know, Dustin, you've talked about in the past that you think that Darnell Wright should be moving to the left side. So why don't you start us off with your thoughts on what they said this past weekend about that being a possibility for the Chicago Bears?
Well, I'll start off by saying that Kyle sent that text to the group earlier saying that Courtney Cronin has reported that potentially Darnell Wright is moving to the left. And, Courtney Cronin asked Luther Burden why he didn't leave college after a sophomore season. So I don't know how much faith I put into that, to be quite honest. I've always called for Darnell Wright to move to that left side because I think he has the skill set to do it. And I think if you take a guy in the top 10 of the draft, I want to see what they got at the left tackle if you're drafting a tackle that high. I think Darnell Wright has the capability to do it. Do I think the Bears are going to do that this year? No, I don't think so, man. I think Braxton Jones is the guy at that left tackle spot with competition from Karan Amagaji, and I think the Bears are going to sort it out in training camp and figure out who the best guy is for that job. Now, if they come out and things are not going the way they want and Ozzy Trapilo is really performing in practice and kind of being that guy that's standing out to the coaching staff, maybe they make that change and they switch it up. But I honestly think you can talk about Trapilo playing left or right. I think his biggest appeal to the Bears was that he can do both. Trapilo can do either side. He's a versatile guy. They're looking for that swing tackle and that depth. Trapilo can do both pretty damn well, I think. I like the pick a lot. I was a little disappointed by it at first, but I'm coming around on the Trapilo pick, and I think the Bears like him because he can do either side. But I think you're right, Sean. Braxton Jones is that guy. But I would be all for trying Darnell Wright out on the left side if you're looking for answers to problems that pop up. Don't create problems now out of nowhere. It would be my response.
That's kind of where I am.
For sure.
What's the Twins got? Who wants to lead it off?
And Twins.
I can't help but wonder if the Bears are already aware of the fact that Darnell Wright can't play left tackle.
You would think so, right?
It only made sense for this guy to do it last season when they were more than
Bruce,
injured at this position. They were down to Larry Borum, who was a swing tackle who's played many a games in the NFL at right. Why would you not take your top 10 pick who could play left tackle and move him to where Caleb Williams was most often getting
that
his
was the
ass
prime
kicked?
time to do it, Brendan.
It's just
100%.
if they did that now, it's a different coaching staff, but it would disappoint me that this guy hasn't been given that opportunity prior to this. And Kyle said this, and I'm going to echo this. And if you've got a guy who might be above average at this left tackle position, but he's the best right tackle in football potentially in recent years here in his future, don't move him around. And if you made the wrong pick in Trapilo for being a guy who's never going to be a starting left tackle in the NFL, that's on you. But don't make a strong link weaker to put a weaker link over on the other side. It just doesn't make sense.
Don't create a
man.
problem.
Don't
create a problem.
do this jigsaw thing. Just make it work. And I agree with you both. Braxton Jones is going to be the starter, but they do definitely consider the possibility of injury. The guy pretty much exploded his ankle last year. So my real question too is, what's their vision here for Trapilo? And does that mean Karan Amagaji is just gone? Or
What's
is
up,
this guy
Scottish Bear?
potentially the backup right tackle?
I think the versatility of both is very intriguing for us as fans and for the Chicago Bears. I think a year of Karan Amagaji developing more and hopefully getting healthy.
Yeah, I want to see Karan.
He can move to either. I do too, and he can move to either side. And I think Ozzy can do the same, man. I think there's versatility with this offensive line and depth and strength and speed that they did not have in the last few years, guys. And that's something to be excited about, regardless of who's plugged in where. I think they're looking at being able to be as versatile as possible, which is a good thing, I think.
Well, let me ask you this, though, guys. Was Trapilo drafted knowing that you're likely not going to give Braxton Jones $100 million to play your left tackle position? Is that what this was?
Let's let Kyle answer that.
I mean, first and foremost, this is not like some breaking news today that Courtney Cronin brought out. They've been talking about this for the last 2 months. We heard Ryan Poles say it himself in an interview. I believe Darnell Wright can play left tackle. I believe Darnell Wright can play right tackle. I believe we can play wherever we put him. He was the top 10 tackle or top 10 pick in the NFL draft. They probably think he's capable of doing anything. I've been saying
that for 2 years.
But, I mean, I don't think you draft a guy in the second round to make him a swing tackle. I mean, I think at some point, Ozzy Trapilo is going to get a chance to start in the NFL. I don't know when. And maybe it's when the Braxton Jones leaves. Who knows? But at some point, I believe he's going to get a chance to start on this line for sure.
Do you think that's at left tackle, Kyle? I think it might be a left tackle. That's what the Bears see.
Yes, I do. Right? I think you're going to see him play a lot of right in the preseason when they're in their second unit, so that he can kind of
be in on running downs
catch
during
up
the regular season.
The NFL scheme. But eventually, yes, I think the goal is for Trapilo to start at left tackle. I mean, if you guys go look at Trapilo's draft bio on any single website you choose, I obviously, I use NFL Draft Buzz, but I mean, they say that this guy is capable of starting in the NFL. It says eventually expected to be an above average NFL starter. If they, and his biggest strength is protecting the quarterback. It's not he's not great in run blocking, but he's amazing at pass protection, and that's Caleb Williams' blind side. He's a right-handed quarterback. That's his blind side. He can't see what's coming from behind him. That Ozzy Trapilo, whether people love him or not, love the pick or not, is an absolute mountain of a man. At 6'8", 300 and whatever 20 pounds.
305 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, this guy, if he can protect the quarterback, if he can have a season where he allows 2-3 sacks, a handful of sacks, something like that, like some of the best left tackles in the NFL, then that's where he should be.
Kyle, do you know what my favorite thing about his Draft Buzz bio is? The player comp at the very bottom of the three, which is Tyler Guyton. If he could be Tyler Guyton, I like the idea of that.
I like Ozzy Trapilo a lot. I think it was a very good pick for the Bears, and there's a lot of NFL draft analysts, like, I don't know if you guys saw Dane Brugler's rankings for the draft, where he ranked each team's draft from 1 to 32. But he said Ozzy Trapilo, Luke Newman, and Kyle. How do you say Manungai were very, very sneaky picks for the Bears, who could be major factors and have immediate impacts on this team.
So I guess the question becomes then, though, with Trapilo, if this is going to be your starting left tackle week 1 next season, don't you kind of let this kid play? I mean, you're going to run back
He's going to
Braxton
play in the
Jones just for the hell of it when you think that you might have
No,
your starting left tackle of the
I
future?
I
What's the
think it's
plan of
about
approach here?
Sean. You can speak on this a little bit, but I'll just say this: I think it's about having as many options as possible. The Bears are planting seeds and seeing what's going to grow, right?
Right, but if one of
Braxton
them's your
Jones, Braxton
future
Jones is going
number
to
one
play
option,
this, but
shouldn't
they
you?
don't know that. I don't think they know that. I think that they're hoping that, and that they have a thought that that could be the case. But they're going to see if Braxton Jones acquits himself better with a new coaching staff this year and a new offense that predicates itself on play action and running more and getting the ball out quicker to see and putting Joe Tooney next to Braxton Jones, right? Can he excel potentially? And I mean, that could be dangerous too, as I've said before, because maybe he tricks you into thinking this guy is our starting left tackle of the future, and you pay the guy and his production dips.
Right.
But I think the Bears are giving themselves as many options as possible, man.
I was going to say, either way, if Trapilo is a potential starter in the NFL at this position, you wouldn't pay Braxton Jones anyways, no matter how good he plays this year.
All I know is it's good to have 4 potential starting options at tackle on any NFL team, and then figure it the fuck out. That's how I think, and that's how I think the Bears are approaching this, because they're not putting high value picks into.
I've been talking about offensive line depth for a very long time. I'm glad that the Bears took Trapilo, and I'm glad the Bears took Newman. And I think both those guys. Now, if the Bears have a slew of injuries, you still have Ryan Bates there. Whether people like him or not, it doesn't matter. The Bears traded a 5th-round pick for him. They plan on using him as probably an immediate backup, and then eventually grooming Luke Newman into be a backup and potential starter if Jonah Jackson doesn't work out. And remember, guys, Jonah Jackson played 4 games last year. 4.
Sean, where are you at on this?
Yeah, for me, I think it's incredibly easy. Like I said, your left and right tackle are. Don't move things, create more questions than you already have. Braxton starts at left. This guy goes to right. That's could be an all-pro. You got Trapilo and Karan. They battle for your swing tackle position. If neither of them you don't feel can take over in 2026, you go draft high left tackle if you can. You have some extra assets. Maybe you can move up and get that left tackle. The big name next year that's going to be a free agent is Rashawn Slater. I highly doubt that the Chargers will let him go. The former Northwestern product, he'll probably be tagged, but that's a name that will be a free agent if they don't re-up a deal during the year. But yeah, I think this is pretty easy. If they both suck and you don't think after 1 year you're getting what you get, you have no choice. You have to draft high, because unless Braxton Jones all of a sudden becomes something that we haven't seen, you're not paying him $20+ million next year.
Guys, let's not lose sight of this. I don't want to put it. The one thing I don't want to do with this Bears roster right now is put anything in a box and say this is set in stone. Because the main theme of what Ben Johnson has put out there since he's been here is competition. He wants to get them in camp and let them compete, and the best guy will win the job. He has no ties to anybody in that regard. He's not saying I'm putting this guy here and that's what that's going to be. The more depth, the more quality players you can put on this roster to compete, the better it is for this roster. This is something that the Bears have lacked for years, guys. Competition and just fighting your ass off for your job. And I think Ben Johnson is going to cultivate a culture that strongly leans on that competition.
Ryan Poles has to get credit. I mean, he's now in his 4th year. He said it would take me 3 to 4 years to rebuild this team, and now this team has talent all over the roster. A lot of these guys that Ryan Poles has drafted are going to get second contracts. A lot of them.
What's up, Romy? Guys, hit that like button. Thanks for being here. We appreciate all of y'all. Keep them comments coming.
To Dustin's point, really quick, he's creating competition at every position.
You got to do it.
He did it in the wide receiver room. He's doing it. I mean, not so much in the running back room yet, but I do expect some competition to get there. He's doing it now at offensive line. He's done it at defensive tackle. They might not be the defensive tackles that we want. If you start going down that list, there's 7 defensive tackles on this roster. All of a sudden, they're going to be battling out. The best players are going to stay. The worst ones are obviously going to go.
That makes me excited. I'm happy about that. It makes me
excited too.
100%.
You create that competitive drive regardless of who's going to start and who's not. There's positions Ben Johnson knows who the best players are.
But that has not been in the Bears building up to this point.
Like last season, the Bears entered the season thinking Gerald Everett was their best tight end, which was criminally egregious to think.
Yeah, that's my point.
Stupid bio. So you have to know
also a really
who the most talented players are on your roster.
Guys were gifted positions. There was no fear of someone coming from behind you and taking your job. That's going to be a very different environment in the Bears building this year. On that
Yeah, it takes a long time to build a deep roster in the NFL, especially when you, as a GM, you get to the Chicago Bears and you are in the worst salary cap space of any team in the NFL, and your team is full of a bunch of garbage. I mean, and then you have to make decisions on, people like keep people here and still talking about like Roquan Smith and these guys. Like, okay, so you're going to pay Roquan Smith to waste two years of that contract here? This team was not going to compete for a championship with Roquan Smith here. So what Ryan Post did is
start the Roquan conversation.
He cleared the salary cap. That's exactly what he did. Exactly what he should have done. He got rid of almost every single player in the Ryan Pace era. Almost every single one of them is gone. And here we are talking about him spending his first 2 years. You retained 2. Here we are talking about this Cole Kmet and Jalen. Here we are talking about this team in the first 2 years. All he had the chance to do was draft and remove players. He couldn't add anybody in free agency, anybody that was going to be here for a long time. Here we are, 2 years of adding players in free agency and drafting, and now we're talking about how this team has a bunch of depth and they're competing for positions, and this is going to be one of the most competitive teams in the NFC. And this is exactly what I expected to happen in 4 years of Ryan Poles.
All I know though is that next year it better not turn into Ryan Poles said it was going to take 4 to 5 years to get this thing. I better not fucking hear that next year. Let's see some results.
Well, that's exactly why I've been saying for the last 6 weeks.
It's not a shot at you. I'm just saying in general.
No, I
don't want to hear that.
Eliminate the excuses for Caleb Williams. I don't want to hear it either. I don't want to hear at the end of the season. Well, Caleb Williams should have been a top 5 quarterback, but he lost Braxton Jones halfway through the season, or DJ Moore got hurt. No, now there is no excuses. There's no excuses.
Kyle, I wanted to say this for
learn the offense and go out there and be a franchise quarterback.
You guys
got the tools. Go do it.
You and Sean have both kind of treated like one major injury to this line would set them back to what they were last year. That's just not the case. If Joe Tooney's on this line and you lose Dolman for a couple of weeks, it's not all just going to fall apart.
All right, Brennan, who's playing?
You have
if Joe Tooney gets injured this season, the Bears are cursed. This guy doesn't miss games. If he comes to the Bears and all of a sudden starts missing games, it's an us problem.
My point is that Joe Tooney
gets hurt,
is a coach
not that big of a deal.
The
like they could just plug that hole. Like
my
obviously the starters are starters for a reason.
Tooney,
losing any starter hurts.
You keep saying
one at a
like
time.
If this guy goes down, this season's over. It's not the case.
Nobody's ever said the season is over, Brandon.
If somebody
ever said
well,
that.
you're like, well, Caleb Williams will have excuses. No, because if somebody's injured on this line, Joe Tooney is a coach on the field. This line is going to stay together. They're going to keep their shit together. They're better coached. They don't have Chris Morgan anymore. They have a fucking real coach who has 40 years of experience, who's probably dealt with once or twice before a backup starting or backup lineman having to fill a starting role.
Brandon, they also added more depth. This offensive line is much deeper than it was last year.
How many of the 5 starting
of the depth?
It's not regardless of the depth. The depth is very important. All 5 starters in the Bears offensive line missed games last year. All 5 of them
on the field.
All 5 of them. All 5 starters.
Sean, do you have this year's offensive line versus last year? Just a shot in the dark. Do you have that in front of you?
I think I do.
Because I would love for you to read that right now. To kind of just put a button.
I could say which offensive line because there was like 30.
No, just overall.
Thank you for making my point, Sean.
The point is that this offensive line this year is worlds better than it was last year.
Because Ryan Poles made it worlds better, which is what I was saying he should have done.
And when a line is worlds better, one injury will not ruin the unit entirely.
What up, T? We got T in the building. We got Romy in the building.
Should ever ruin a team.
I must have erased it.
No one injury ruined the Bears' offensive line last year.
Phil.
No one injury ruined their line last year.
Jackson.
Yes, they did because they were all bad.
Tevin Jenkins, Joe Tooney. They went from whoever the center was, Coleman Shelton.
Thank you, T. You're right.
Dahlman. So it is better. I'm still going to sit here
100%.
I still think that this team does lack quality depth. Maybe it'll grow into the team, but on what they have under the coaching staff, I still don't think this is a very deep team.
Quality depth. What don't they have?
The offensive line backup.
I thought we were talking about offensive line.
The offensive line
backup. We're talking about safety. That's a whole different conversation.
This team does not have quality depth.
We're talking about offensive line. Are we talking about offensive line, Sean?
Okay, we can start there. On offensive line, Give me a backup that you trust that can come in for a 6-week period that can play all pro football that's sitting on the bench for the Chicago Bears right now.
It
better be Karan Amagaji.
Halfway
It better be
all-pro.
Karan Amagaji. It better be Karan Amagaji in year 2 after being drafted in the 3rd round, right?
Exactly.
And it better be the guy you traded a 5th round pick for in Ryan Bates, who was a starter last year and is now depth. That makes a huge difference on your team, correct?
That's my point. There's question marks about the depth on this line. You don't know what you're going to get. If Doug Kramer is starting,
but what was depth?
What's center?
Sean,
you're in big trouble.
Sean, what's depth this year was starters last year. That's the difference. That's the difference. And that's a huge difference.
Time out though. You're actually proving our point here because the starters were depth or depth this year. If that depth has to be starters, exactly.
It's not all 5 guys though.
In the exact same spot we were.
John, that's how it is on every NFL
It's not all 5 guys, man. It's 1 guy, hopefully.
But Dustin,
2 guys, right?
But Dustin, all 5 offensive linemen missed games last year.
Not at the same time, Kyle.
Some of them. Kevin Jenkins. Nate Davis was the starter to begin the season. Nate
Davis should have never been.
Dexter Jones had a massive injury.
So
you guys fired. Bill Murray. All of these guys missed games. All of them.
Guys,
every single.
So you're stating
we missed 4
1 at a time, guys.
Let me talk a little bit. So you're stating that depth, guys. I'm going to remind you, everybody who's watching this right now, the 5 guys playing behind the 5 guys starting aren't going to be fucking starting players in the NFL. That's number 1. Number 2, the guys who are behind the guys who are starting should probably be players who have started once in their career.
That
is a better thing.
Right?
Hey, Brandon,
right?
I sure hope they are because you have a second round and a third round pick.
Guys,
it's a huge difference.
Lastly, this is my point. You have a much better unit top to bottom. Last year, when 1 guy went down, the whole thing was fucked because it was fucked to begin with. They sucked ass no matter what. When
the
one guy
quality
goes
of
down
starters
now,
is much better.
Not the same thing.
What I'm saying, Vernon, you and Dustin on CSP picked the Bears to win 8 games in a row. You remember that?
I don't care.
With that offensive line in place. What I'm saying is, it's not
you
about
picked them to win 10 games.
What I'm saying is, Vernon, is that these things happen. You never know what's going to happen. Things happen. Now, have the Bears do they have a better offensive line they did last year? Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, they have to.
Where do you
it didn't work very well.
By how much?
Is it finished? Is it finished? Is it a finished product? No,
nobody's saying it's finished.
Where do you rank them, Sean?
The Bears offensive line?
Where do you rank the Bears offensive line right now?
10 to 15?
Probably middle of the pack.
Yeah, 10 to 15.
13,
I'd say
all things
8
worked
to 12.
out perfectly. 10.
I'm saying 8 to 12. I don't think you guys
17.
I don't know if you guys understand how good a player Joe Tooney might be the
just said
best
8 to 12. I
NFL
said
player
12
in the
or
league.
15.
Like he might be at his position. He respectively might be the best player in the NFL.
Brandon, you realize this, right? You just said the players on our bench will never be starters. That's why they're there. That statement is absolutely, hopefully incorrect because we have a 2nd and a 3rd round pick.
Sean, that's every team in the NFL.
Yes, what team has 5 starters on the bench?
The Bears just wasted 2 draft picks.
Romy thinks we're 10th. Our offensive line is 10th. Here, the point.
Okay.
The question
Romy, if you have an injury, one injury, and you're ranked 10th, and you have one injury, let's say Jackson. That's the most likely because the guy had an injury last year, and you have to fall back on one of your depth players. You said this line goes from 10th to 32nd because you lost a player. Is that how this?
I don't understand how all of a sudden you're such an advocate for an offensive line. I mean, you were the guy who was like, I don't want an offensive lineman. I want Landon Jackson. I want all these guys.
I just don't think you can have 5
the Bears draft
sitting
offensive lineman, and all of a sudden you're like, this is the best offensive line in football. There's nothing could possibly go wrong with this
sitting on their bench.
Like it's
how is there a disagreement here? How is this? Here's the question to me, guys, and I'll ask this to the panel. Okay, the question to me is this offensive line 100% better than it was last year?
To start the season, yes.
Okay.
Is it better than? Well, I don't know what 100%. Is it better than last year? Yes, it's better than.
How much better? How much more confident do you feel?
A lot more.
A lot more. It's 100%, but it's worlds better.
Offensive line complete? No, and it's the most important thing in a football field.
This.
I will say this:
Dustin,
Vernon keeps talking about these guys like they're not Vernon. Ozzy Trapilo was drafted to be a starter. They expect him to be a starter in the future. He needs to be a starter. That's what they think.
But he could.
That's what they think.
Dustin, this line allowed 68 sacks last year. They will allow under 40 this season. That's almost half of what they allowed last season. Now,
and that falls on Caleb Williams too.
On top of that,
it's
guys,
not just the offensive line.
what NFL team has 5 quality starters sitting on the bench in case one of the actual starters gets injured? Please tell me that. What team is paying
$5 quality
$900 million
It
to
could
their
be one
backup
quality
offensive
starter who could play
lineman?
multiple positions.
We're stuck here. We're stuck on separate points instead of focusing on the overall point of this conversation, which is that this Bears offensive line has improved. Bears fan for life, Phil, says this line is considerably better. I'm guessing between 75 and 80% better. That's his estimation. I would say 100% better. I feel 100% better about this O-line. And I think that's the bigger point.
You miss Dolman and Braxton Jones for any considerable amount of time. You feel confident with the backup center, seeing that there is no professional backup center that's had any NFL experience on this team. You feel comfortable over a stretch of time missing your center and your left tackle.
Well, it's going to depend. And listen, here, Sean, you've made the point.
Experienced veteran backup center would be a huge move for the Bears.
You've made the point. You've made the point a couple times that the depth on this team should not be starting. That is the same case across the NFL. That nobody has 10 starters on their offensive line. You don't have the cap room to do it. You don't have the ability to have that type of talent on your offensive line. Hopefully you can find some diamonds in the rough. What I do have faith in, Sean, to answer your question, is this coaching staff. A new coaching staff, a new offense that will make life easier on the offense, Dan Rocher, and I do have faith in the fact that you've added, as Brandon said, a coach on the field in Joe Thuney who will make this offensive line better. He will make Braxton Jones better. Now, if he's hurt, obviously he can't really help you that much. But I can't plan for everybody to be hurt, and I cannot build an offensive line that is 10 deep with starters in the NFL. It is an impossibility with the salary cap. It's an impossibility.
Let me add this to Dustin's point.
To take the spot.
Yeah, Sean, they'd be better off with Connor Williams, who's a free agent right now, than they would Doug Kramer. I agree with you.
Connor Williams can't stay healthy either, man. Why would you trust that?
They're not
Why
done.
would you trust that?
At least you don't need him. You need him for 2 games, Dustin. Doug Kramer's never played center in the NFL, ever. He's never played center, ever. And every time Doug Kramer's been on the field, all he's done is screw up. Doug Kramer's screwed up every time he's been on the field. Every time he's been on the field, he's screwed up. Every time.
Luke Newman might be your backup center.
Doesn't report. That's the guy you want as your backup?
Let me say this.
Well, he's playing fullback, not center. That's a big difference.
How confident are you?
Maybe he's an idiot. Think about that.
Well, that's a big difference. Maybe the head coach who put him in that position was an idiot. Maybe the offensive coordinator who put him in that position was an idiot,
and he doesn't belong in the NFL. And you should draft, or you should go sign a backup center.
I like Kramer, but he hasn't had the opportunity to play center. And hopefully he doesn't have it.
Sean, you asked how confident. Yeah. How confident are you in one of these guys if somebody's injured on this line? My question for you is, if somebody's injured on this line, how confident are you in the unit in its entirety? The whole unit, minus the one piece that was listed as a starter. Does the one piece break the camel's back? Are we saying
it better not? It better not.
Is if what I'm asking you is if Dolman goes down for 3 weeks, is the Bears season over?
They're in a lot of trouble.
Like, we might as well go home, pack it up.
You're only as strong as your weakest link on the offensive line. And if you
I don't believe that.
Controlling the line, you're in big trouble.
I don't believe that.
Okay, but what it boils down
to an NFL coach that will tell you different and will agree, because you will not.
What it boils down to,
weakest link on your offensive line. That's why the Bears' offensive line has sucked dick for years.
Okay, but what it boils down to, Sean. What it boils down to, Sean, is that the Bears have eliminated those weak links to a great extent. Their strongest link is a lot stronger than their strongest link last year.
Jackson. I've said this for a month.
Okay.
I do not believe the guy can stay on the field. You have not addressed that position correctly.
Has the strongest link on this offensive line gotten stronger, and has the weakest link on this offensive line gotten stronger? That's the most you can ask for, man, at this point. In my mind.
I honestly think
is that the question? Can you answer that question? Can you answer that question?
I think your right guard is exactly where you were. Yes, Joe Thuney does.
You think Jonah Jackson is Nate Davis?
I think
Matt
that
Pryor?
Jonah Jackson, his best ability is availability, and he has
ranked higher than Jonah Jackson.
Look at his schedule and his career.
Hey,
so you replace the guy who didn't want to play in Nate Davis with a guy who can't stay on the field.
Okay, but where
So,
was
yes,
this
you have a weak link at
where
right
was this
guard until this guy
vitriol
stays
when they
on the
made
field.
the trade for Jonah Jackson, man?
I did not
It's
like
done.
it.
I wasn't the biggest fan of it either, but you weren't this upset about it, Sean. This offensive line has gotten better since they made that move. Yes or no? Yes or no?
At right guard,
No,
I don't believe so.
Overall,
you
has
could
the
make an
offensive line
argument-
gotten better since they made the move?
You can make an argument that they would be better with Matt Pryor
Yes.
over Jonah
Yes,
Jackson.
it has.
You could make
Yes.
the argument that they'd
You
be
could
better with
also- you
Matt
could
Pryor
also-
at right
you
guard
could
over
also
Jonah
find-
Jackson. That argument
you
can
could
be made
also-
very easily. Very easily.
You could also find
Ask Pro
record
Football
of
Focus.
offensive lines that won a Super Bowl even with an injured player.
Hey guys, we got T asking us a question, and I don't want to lose it because I want to make sure we involve these guys who are taking their time to put in comments and watch us and experience this whole craziness with us, because we're losing it a little bit here. But T is asking, do you guys think your O-line with Caleb trying to pick up a new playbook will get you to 9 wins? If no, what are you expecting for your win-loss record this year? Do we want to answer that question right now? Because that's a lot to dive into. I haven't put together my win-loss record.
I think that question's worded. I mean,
I want to engage them a little bit, and I appreciate the question.
Well, it takes more than an offensive line to get you to 9 wins. So even if the offensive line is good, does the defense get you? There's a lot of
factors
that
factors
need to be good in order for the Bears to get 9 wins. The Bears' offensive line could struggle and they could win 10 games because they're strong on the defensive side of the ball. I don't believe that. You know that. But
9 wins feels more realistic today than it did before this weekend started.
Absolutely, it does. They're in a tough division. They're playing a tough division in the NFC East. So I mean, this Ben Johnson is going to have to be the difference maker here. Caleb Williams is a good football player. Ben Johnson's going to have to make this football team special, and he's capable of doing that. We've seen it, but he's going to have to outcoach some of the best defensive coordinators like Vic Fangio in the NFL. Brian Flores, Vic Fangio. You're playing some really quality teams this year. Ben Johnson's going to have to, guys. What lost this Bears team games last year was the inability to coach when it mattered most. If Ben Johnson can change that, the games that were close last season should
go the other way. Go the other way. Right?
They should be outcome, right? If Ben Johnson's that dude, that should be the outcome. If the Bears are in close games at the end of games,
to answer your question, T, for me personally, you don't have to look too deep into this. The NFL is a quarterback-driven league. Ben Johnson, the guy the Bears just paid the second most money of any coach in the NFL, whatever it is, to be here, has said the same thing 1,000 times. So how many games the Bears win is ultimately how big of a learning curve this offense is for Caleb Williams. How long it takes him to adjust and develop to this scheme is going to determine how many games the Chicago Bears win this season. If Caleb Williams looks like Patrick Mahomes this season, even learning a new offense, like all the draft analysts and experts said, he reminds me of Caleb Williams on a football field. If that's who he becomes, and he's that guy this year, they're going to win 9 games. If he struggles to learn this offense and struggles under center, which he's never done in his entire life, basically ever, then they are not going to win 9 games. Very simple.
Sean,
very simple.
Sean, can we get that clap ready? Because we got a new sub in here. It's been a while since we've thrown that out. I would like to welcome
Foster?
Ron Winarski, new sub.
Bear down. Ron? Thank you, Ron.
Thanks for being here.
He's subbed after that conversation.
we got 40 in the building. We're trying to make it 50. Everybody keep hanging in, keep bearing down. Listen, we all are passionate about our Chicago Bears, and we want them to be as successful as possible. It's been a rough couple of years. I think the Bears are on the right track. I think the culture is changing clearly, and I think it's really, as I said earlier, all about the competition. The Bears have added good pieces, even on the offensive line, guys. I gotta say, you can say that you don't think your depth is better now than it was last year, but when your starters are, I think it is, but because that's a natural occurrence when your starters get that much better than they were last year. You automatically, that trickles down, guys. This Bears offensive line is in a much better position than it was last year. And I think we should all have more confidence in it than we did last year going into that season. And I think we all had some false confidence in that offensive line going into last season as well.
Listen, on the surface, I love this team. Depth is what scares me.
We say every year.
I don't believe it's developed.
The depth is better, though. The depth is better. That's for sure.
Better. We don't know.
It looks better. It looks better to me.
Everyone
Well,
thought
and
Karan
to
Bagazi was
me,
going to come in and be some god and got destroyed, even though he's put in bad
and
situations.
Dustin, to me,
That's
the
all I'm
difference is
saying.
when Ryan Bates stepped in last year because Coleman Shelton was injured, he stepped in between Matt Pryor and Bill
Sure.
Murray. Okay. When Drew Dahlman is injured this year,
I
Ryan
like
Bates
Bill
will
Murray.
step
I
in
like Bill
between
Murray.
Ryan Bates will now step in between Joe Tooney and Jonah Jackson. That's a difference.
You hope
Regardless
Jonah
of who the depth player is, you're stepping in between two better players who can help you out.
I don't
Because
want to
this-
see Ryan Bates at center.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, if
Well,
that's your plan,
regardless,
if
whoever-
Ryan Bates is your
whatever-
plan at center,
insert
that was
here,
his
whatever the
worst
name
games
might
ever
be.
in his career. Were
Okay,
center.
we're missing the
What up,
point here.
Notorious? What up,
We're
Notorious?
missing
How
the
you doing?
point. When the players around you are better, your job is easier.
We're up to 50,
Sure.
guys. What up, everybody? Thanks for
Yeah,
joining us.
100%.
Thanks for being here tonight.
I do want to talk, guys, about another potential position change on this team. If we're done with the
Here, Brandon.
Darnell Wright conversation.
And to answer the question, if you're getting blown up the middle by a defensive tackle, it doesn't matter who's on the right and left.
That's
if
not
your
going to
center
happen with
can't
Joe
hold the
Tooney on the
position.
line.
Okay.
No, I don't think not with Dahlman. If Jackson is healthy and you got Dahlman at health and Tooney there, who should by all accounts be healthy, the guy does not
I mean,
miss
you
games.
guys, Tooney's
You have
Superman to you
Florida-
guys.
Dude, has he
can
not
block
been?
the whole freaking line?
Has he not been?
He got a vote for offensive player of the year. He's a guard.
Hey, I'm not saying Joe Tooney isn't great.
Sean, listen,
But-
I mean, they're making good points. And why they're making good points? Because the Bears is exactly what we said they should do. You wanted Drew Dahlman, I wanted Drew Dahlman. Didn't hear much people
Yeah.
talk about it. They got him. We wanted two legitimate guards. They got at least one, right? For sure. The Joe Tooney is definitely a
got one.
legitimate guard.
And a good one.
We
on
didn't
the
want
other
Jackson
side,
Jones
just
starting
has
left
health
tackle.
issues.
Unfortunately, you
Tony.
can't fix all your problems in one offseason, right? They didn't have a chance to replace Braxton Jones. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. Hopefully he can thrive in this offense. He's going to get some chip help like he has not in the past. Has the
gonna get
offensive
better.
line gotten better?
Guys.
Yes. Is the offensive line
Yes.
complete? No.
No.
The Lions.
I agree. I think the team is better as a whole.
The Lions got
It's
better.
better,
I think the NFC North got better. But listen, we've talked a lot about this offensive line, and that's important, man. That shows that we give a shit about the things that matter to this team. That is the core.
Right.
But we got 15-2. No way, bro. You're going a little crazy there. Let's not make predictions yet.
I love the confidence.
I agree.
We can talk about this offensive line all night, but we got all kinds of other things to get into, Sean. We got potential running back changes. We got the whole draft to recap. This is important, and it will play out to be a very important thing for the Bears. But we got plenty of time to talk about that for the next 10 months. Let's get into something else.
Brandon?
Well, the Bears did not draft a safety. The only other safety listed behind Jaquan Brisker is now Jonathan Owens. I think Blackwell was brought in to play
Elijah Hicks.
Elijah Hicks. Blackwell was brought in if he was necessary to play safety position as well. But my question is, if Brisker goes down, after what Dennis Allen has stated, guys, is there another potential position move here? Is Kyler Gordon become your starting safety if Brisker's done for the year? Is that what's going to happen?
Yeah. So who's your nickel?
I think that's a question that has to be determined once he gets on the field and they see his play.
You
I mean,
guys
he's,
just
the best
said
nickel, he's the best nickel in football, dude.
You don't think Tyreek Stevenson could play in the nickel, Kyle? I
think we just all had a conversation, which I think four of us had a pretty good agreement. We were like, "Hey, stop moving people to positions they don't play played before." And now you guys are like, "I think the best room at safety is to take a guy who's one of the best in his position in the NFL and move him to a new position."
This is different because Dennis Allen stated he's going to move him.
That is going to happen.
I will say this with Kyler Gordon.
It's going to happen.
So he's going to sprinkle him in. He didn't say he was going to be the starting safety on the Chicago Bears.
I agree with Kyle.
But he also said, I want you on the field as much as possible. So if Jaquan Brisker goes down, it would only make sense to put your best player to
I don't
fill
think
in
you
that
need
role.
Jaquan Brisker to go down to keep Kyler Gordon on the field more is my point. You keep your best players on the field as much as you can. You bring packages for them to move around the field and sub in, sub out, whatever they have to do. I would like the idea in spots, but I'm not taking the nickel position away from him if Brisker were to go down.
Okay, but this is what bothers me. We just talked about
creating another weakness.
We just talked about being as weak as your weakest link. Dustin, who did you just say is going to be the safety behind Jaquan Brisker?
I mean, you got Elijah Hicks and you got Jonathan Owens.
Okay,
both
Elijah
who
Hicks
did
is a
not
name I don't
perform
ever want to
admirably.
fucking see on my
Yeah.
football
They
field
didn't
for the
perform
rest of
admirably
my
under the
life.
worst coaching
If I
staff
can
in
go
the
the
NFL.
rest of my life without seeing
Guys,
Elijah Hicks on a
That
football
would be
field,
saying that you don't have any confidence in Al Harris to bring these guys up, man.
Bears
Make them
fan
better.
likes Major Burns as an undrafted free agent out of
I actually
LSU.
have a whole thing if we ever get to that section.
no,
on
see,
Major
I
Burns.
was what I was getting
Well, we can get
towards-
to it. Let me.
What I was getting towards is Frazier could play the nickel. Well,
You're not putting Frazier at
Gordon.
nickel at 6'3", bro. You're just not
You're
doing
gonna put
that.
you're gonna put a
6'3",
rookie.
185 rookie. No way. You
No,
put him on
no.
the boundary. If you want to have him have a
Anything.
chance as a rookie, you're putting him on the boundary.
I agree
Tyreek
with Justin
Stevenson
100%.
is much better at coming up and playing the run. He has shown that in the NFL already at the NFL level. Tyreek Stevenson would be the guy you move to nickel in that situation,
agree.
in my mind.
well, nickels
But
have to cover tight ends.
Well, I don't know
too.
about that.
Yeah, well, Tyreek's here. What the bigger point here to me, since you brought this up, Brandon, that I hope we can focus on a little bit is that the Bears went into this draft with a very big need at safety and came out with nothing but two undrafted free agents at the safety position. That was the thing I was most disappointed about with this Bears draft, not the running back. It was the safety. And Brandon, it makes a good point. You could see yourself needing to fill that position with Kyler Gordon potentially, or a subpar Jonathan Owens or whoever that ends up being. But Andrew Makuba was right there for you to take and you had the opportunity
they had a chance to take Watts.
I was very disappointed that the Bears did not come away with a guy that I think will be a starting safety in the NFL in Makuba and Malachi Moore, who went to the Jets, man. There was a couple of different, and Sean, I'm sure you got some names too, but safety should have been addressed in this draft in a much heavier way, in my mind.
The average NFL nickel is just under 6'2 1/4.
Okay,
you could use the same. I mean, everybody's like, well, you can't have all backup starting offensive linemen, but you can't have all backup starting corners or on the bench. You can't have all backup starting safeties and linebackers, and you got to pick the positions you want to fix in certain off seasons. The Bears went offensive heavy because they're more worried about the development of Caleb Williams than they are about fixing the defense. That will come. They're not going to compete for a Super Bowl this year, but by the time they're competing for a Super Bowl, there's going to be another safety on this roster. I promise. You know what
so
they're
you have
right
no.
They're worried about this offense being the most dangerous offense it could possibly be, and Caleb Williams having a seamless transition from the offensive scheme of Shane Waldron and 4 other guys to
Thomas Brown,
the offensive scheme of Ben Johnson. That's what they're worried about, which they should be. That is the most important thing for the team this season.
So you have no concerns about the fact that they didn't address the safety position in this draft?
I mean, I don't consider. I mean,
that could burn you.
So what'd you sign Jonathan Owens for? Just to hang out in Chicago?
We signed Jonathan Owens to be a player on this team, but did you watch him play last year?
I mean, under the worst coaching staff in the NFL, I did. Sean, what was the opinion of Jonathan Owens before he came to Chicago and played for the worst coaching staff in the NFL?
He played well on
Green
Bay.
Good backup, right? That was what we all heard. Good backup.
Solid. I wasn't over the moon about that signing, man. I wasn't. And then he didn't perform well when he started.
You shouldn't be over the moon about any backup.
Exactly. And there's no position that you can see a back. You guys will keep talking about if someone gets injured. Who has the most probability of getting injured on this team than Jaquan Brisker, guys?
So what's the most important position on the team, Dustin? Offensive line. Not safety.
Quarterback.
It's offensive line. Yeah, besides quarterback, which I've said 7,500. I've said more about making Caleb Williams comfortable than anybody in Chicago I know. Everybody knows where I stand. Offense. Caleb. I've said it 7,500 times.
Well, if Montez Sweat gets injured, you're done. You're dead in the water. So.
Yeah, Sean, do you have any concerns?
If you outscore a team 40-28, you're not done, Brennan.
Sean, do you have any concerns about the safety position not being addressed in this draft?
No, because as we stated, we're not going to fix everything. I was disappointed during the draft that they didn't.
That doesn't change concern, though.
Spots.
Let him answer.
I'll say this: where they took Trapilo, they should have took a safety. That's where.
Or Turner. They could have had Makuba in that spot that they got Shemar Turner, right? So Makuba went 3 picks after Turner.
Either position, I think they should have probably went safety. I also, and we'll talk about this in a minute, I also thought they probably should have went running back over Burden. I love the Burden pick. I think he's going to be a good player in this league.
Yeah, I'm not with you on that.
But I'll tell you who might be with me on that. And we'll play the clip in just a little bit, and that's Ben Johnson.
I don't think Ben Johnson would prefer to have the running backs that were available over Luther Burden.
No, that's why he drafted Burden, because
the
Travion
value
Henderson
was just too much to pass up on.
We're gonna take a look here in a minute at the stare down that he gave his GM.
I don't read into it as much as a lot of people are.
I'm into body language, guys. He doesn't have to express it through words. When you give someone that look, he said with his eyes, I don't agree with what you're saying. That's the way I took it. You're not going to take it off.
You could take it that way for sure.
Hey, oh, yeah. So, no, he wanted a running back in this draft. They passed up on running backs. We just went through it. These picks were picks. And I'm telling you, Trapilo was a fucking pick for Ryan Poles. He's friends with his dad.
The BC connection.
They have the BC connection. That was a total Ryan Poles pick. We can go through this draft.
Real quick.
Know exactly what coaches got their players. Because
real quick,
Za was a pick for Al Harris. He said, I had that guy over 2 months ago.
Sean, we got 50 in the building. Everybody needs to be hitting that like button. Everybody needs to be throwing their name in the chat here. Billy Ocean just joined us. I've never seen that name before. You got that clap readily available?
What's up, Billy Ocean? I saw Ben Johnson's face light up when he talked about.
I still want to.
That's the golf clap. That was the golf clap. There it is.
Oh, he gets 2. Very good. Listen, Brandon, go ahead. What did you have there?
Oh, I saw an interview with Ben Johnson asked about Luther Burden, and his face lit up like he was a kid.
Ben Johnson is ecstatic about Luther Burden. I don't think that he's upset that they didn't take a running back in that spot. I think he might be upset that they traded back multiple times.
Very well be.
And you know, if he is upset at all, I don't know if I read into it that much. I am a big body language guy as well, Sean. The Burden pick was too good to pass up on, man. Freaking good. And there was other spots they could have hit running backs where they traded back because guys went before.
Yeah, if Travion Henderson didn't go to the Patriots the pick before Burden was taken, they would have picked Travion Henderson, remained at 41, and taken Luther Burden anyways. That's what I think the Bears. And imagine if that occurred. You guys just imagine if that happened.
I'll tell you, the only thing
they have time. They have time. I don't understand. It's so crazy to me. Like, yes, they have time. You don't sign DeAndre Swift to be a backup. DeAndre Swift was given 3 years, $24 million to be a starting running back for the Chicago Bears. You have time to replace him. He's here for 2 more years. You didn't have to get a running back this year. People are talking about the Bears like DeAndre Swift's the worst running back in the NFL, and now they're going to have the worst running game in the world. He's a very, very good playmaker. He's averaged over 4 yards of carry almost every year of his career. This guy, you have time to replace the running back.
DeAndre Swift is the biggest beneficiary of this draft on the Chicago Bears.
I'm with Sean. He's missing.
He's not a grinder.
Element.
He's not a November, December in between the tackles in the cold in Chicago. It does fucking matter.
It doesn't matter, Sean. It doesn't
matter. They drafted the guy. They drafted the guy to be
doesn't matter that
tackles,
that your starting running back is terrible running between the tackles.
I wouldn't say it's terrible. That offensive line was terrible. We just spent 30 minutes saying how bad the all-line was.
You have no idea. You don't know what he thinks of Ian Wheeler. You don't know what he thinks of Roshan Johnson. You don't know what he thinks of Kyle Amadon guy.
You have no idea. You have no idea. Did I not tell you this the last couple of days?
I guarantee you,
after they yell over each other,
after they drafted Luther Burden, I guarantee you this. After they drafted Luther Burden, they didn't think there was a running back left in this draft that was a big enough upgrade over DeAndre Swift to draft him. Or you know what they would have done if they did? They would have drafted him.
That's why they win.
I don't need a running back bigger than DeAndre Swift. I need a running back better than Roshan Johnson.
Sean's going to break his microphone. Sean's going to way to go, Kyle. Way to go, Kyle. Oh God! Listen,
back on this team, and it's not me making.
You would think the Bears had a terrible draft. You would think the Bears had an awful draft the way where the show is going.
Listen to
the Bears had an awesome draft.
Thinks they had a bad. You listen to Bears fans.
Somebody ranked them number 1 on Facebook.
Terrible, awful, garbage, terrible. I should have taken that guy.
Awesome
should have taken this guy. To me, the Bears had 1 bad draft pick. 1. And they're getting destroyed by everybody on social media. Everybody. The Bears had 1 bad draft pick. And to be honest with you guys, I don't know if Hippolyte's a bad player. It was just a reach. It wasn't. I'm not saying it's a bad pick. I'm saying where he was picked was bad. That's all.
This is a great transition spot. This is a hip hop anonymous. This is a great transition spot because Romy's saying Bears might pick up Chubb or Dobbins, and then Bruce is asking thoughts on Nick Chubb rumors coming to the Bears. Sean, let's transition to that because we're getting a little heated. I love DeAndre Swift. He's going to have a damn good year, but you do need a power back to spell DeAndre Swift with. You need to take some of the load off of DeAndre Swift to get the best out of him.
They believe Kyle Monungai is that power.
Monungai could be that guy as well.
And maybe
they think Roshan, who they just drafted in the 3rd round a couple years ago, is that guy. I don't think he is. No,
I'm gonna start Nick Chubb over DeAndre Swift.
I've texted this out 3 times.
Let's hear the Nick Chubb stuff.
Like Roshan and Wheeler more than we think. I've said that 100 times. I've said it in text. I got it in print. I don't know how many fucking times I got to say it. But at the same time, there was better running back talent
in your opinion. In your opinion,
yes. They didn't like
yes.
That's
yes.
fine. That's fine.
They clearly didn't see the guy they wanted in the spots that they were at, and that's why they traded back, and that's why they waited. They still saw the need for running back, and that's why they addressed it. They just didn't think the value was there higher after the guys went off the board.
I'll be honest, I still like Roshan Johnson. I want to see what Roshan Johnson can do for the Chicago Bears when given an opportunity, because he has had short yardage opportunities in the Eberflus offense where he has succeeded and he has looked okay. So maybe with a given opportunity in a better line, maybe he's going to be a better running back than what we think. I hope 50 so, in the building on this roster. You know, Monungai, I don't know enough about him. I just did a write-up on him. His numbers are good. They're very similar to one DeAndre or David Montgomery. They're identical to David Montgomery's last year in college. So to say that this guy, he led the Big Ten in rushing yards the last 2 years and in carries, coming off 14 touchdowns this year, 9 touchdowns last year. Obviously, there's some juice to this guy. He can get it done. This was an Eric Bieniemy pick. All day,
he could be that spell guy.
Night.
He could be that spell guy.
He
but
could.
Is there any rumblings about Nick Chubb coming to the Lakefront, Sean?
Well, there is a lot of rumblings so far. I've seen it from a couple different people. There's the score, and I missed it. The score said there's rumblings of big-time running back that the Bears are interested in signing, and I missed the segment. Waddle and Sylvie talked about it this morning. Carmel and Yorko talked about it today. Nick from Just Another Year Bears just did a pod on it. So yes, there's a lot of juice behind this story. I just watched him, I think 2 weeks ago. He was squatting, and I went back and looked at it. It was 500 pounds, not 600 pounds. He was also on a football field, cutting, running left to right. Nick Chubb looks good. It did look last year like he lost a little bit of juice, but
guys, I don't know who he is, but Travis Hudson just reported on Twitter, Bears and Nick Chubb currently in the process of scheduling a workout.
Fuck yeah, man. Listen, I'll say this. Nick Chubb is clearly on the downside of his career.
Sure.
It would be a low risk, high reward move. You're talking about 1.5 million to sign this guy. And if you're limiting his snaps because you're utilizing DeAndre Swift in the way that DeAndre Swift should be utilized, which he was not last year, Sean. That's a huge thing. If he's utilized the proper way this year, and you can spell him with Chubb and Manungai and Roshan potentially, then you can get the most out of this running back field. The backfield of the Chicago Bears. This is a low risk, high reward move that they should definitely kick the tires on at the very least. I would not be opposed to Chubb coming here. You're
preserving Chubb's health, most importantly, if he's in a limited role where he's not expected to be a workhorse like he was every year in Cleveland, even after previously tearing his knee. The point is to keep Chubb off the field if you can. And he could probably still be an impact player, man. I mean, you guys saw the workout tape he's sending to all these NFL teams. Mm-hmm. He's hurdling over things. He looks like he's in. I mean, some of these Saquon Barkley tore a knee. Some of these guys come back. So is this worth $1 million? Is this worth $1 million to me? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, 1.5 for 1 year.
This guy rushed for how many 1,000-yard seasons back to back? Like 6.
He still has a 5.1 yard.
The only running back in the NFL. The only running back in the NFL to average.
And Bruce points out he's 29 years old. Again, this is not your savior for your
5,000-yard rushing.
He is a spell back that takes some of the load off of other guys. And you see, especially in a place like Chicago, guys, in December, you're going to need depth in the running back position. You're going to.
And I want to say this 100%. Too. I like what I saw.
Impacts late in the season all the time. Those depth guys.
I like what I saw to Elon Wheeler last year. The limited time he had in training camp. but he's also coming off a serious knee injury, man. We don't know how he's going to come back or how long he's going to take.
So is
He's gonna
Chubb.
get back slow. So, Nick Chubb is too, but Nick Chubb also has tape out there, squatting
Probably the
500
worst
pounds, doing
knee injury
drills.
I've ever seen.
It was pretty bad. So
Bears Fan for Life says $1.5 million. I'd sign him right away. And Romy says 1 year with second-year team option for Chubb at vet minimum is what he can see.
This is way too early of a prediction, guys. But and I'm running back conversation. I think when they got to the point where they decided Luther Burden was the best player available, and they took him. After they took him, they were like, "Hey, none of the running backs left here do we think are going to be our Jahmyr Gibbs?" So they were like, "At this point, let's just ride with what we got. Maybe we'll add a guy like Nick Chubb in the offseason." And then when DeAndre Swift's 3-year, $24 million is not being paid anymore, and he's gone, or we don't decide to pick up the last year, we cut him after the last year, before the last year of his contract. Then they'll try to find their Nick. I'm assuming they'll try to find their Jahmyr Gibbs in the draft. That's just my projection.
Oh, I think that happened between Travion Henderson being selected.
I think he'll be a first-round pick.
Oh yeah, Junkins going 33 and Henderson going 38. That killed the Bears on the running back spot.
I think that was it. I think Justin, you're 100% right. I think they looked at each other and they were like, you know what, Jahmyr Gibbs isn't here anymore. He's gone. They're gone. Let's focus on
future 3-down back is not available. Yeah.
And then they went offensive line, defensive line, which is what we've all been asking them to do. Right after those picks were made, they went offensive line, defensive line, which is what we.
Kyle, that's a great point, man. Kyle, that's a great point. We've been screaming that we want the Bears to address the trenches, and we want the Bears to do this and do that, and the Bears go out and do it. And people are pissed and saying this draft wasn't good enough. This was a hell of a draft, guys. You get Colston Loveland, you get Luther Burden to pair with the guys you already have on this team. Then you address multiple positions on the offensive line. Then you address the 3 technique. I'm upset again that they didn't address safety and edge. Edge was a bigger need for them than but you can't address everything, guys. They got solid value, and adding that cornerback Zah Frazier was like the coup of this draft in my mind. This guy can be a starter in the NFL. The Bears came away with a lot of solid value in this draft, including Monunga in the 7th round, who should have really been a 4th or 5th round pick, probably based on his production.
Real quick, guys, I just want to ask, just out of curiosity, I want to ask you guys' opinion. So Dane Brugler, he's one of my favorite NFL minds of anybody.
Yeah, he's great. He's great.
I love how he breaks down the draft. I think he's the best. I think he should be the new Mel Kiper. He should be number 1. But Dane Brugler ranked every single team after the draft where he thought their draft landed, where they landed on ranking. Where do you guys think that the NFC North is? Give me all 4 teams and where you think they were about where they would have landed.
I would say the Bears are towards the top 5. The Packers are towards the middle of the pack. The Lions are towards the bottom, and so are the Vikings.
Brandon?
That's what I would say.
I think the Lions are immediately behind the Bears. I think the Packers are last. Their draft was terrible.
Sean?
I think a lot of people are giving Packers some props and saying their draft was pretty good.
That was the 2nd best draft in the NFC North, probably. Yeah.
I was looking at it 10 minutes before we started the show, and I was thinking there is not a noticeable player on this in this
probably
list.
go Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions.
All right, guys.
Lions, Vikings.
Dane Brugler ranked the NFC North. He said Chicago had the 7th best draft of any team in the NFL. Green Bay had the 20th best draft of any team in the NFL. Detroit right behind them at 21, and Minnesota finished dead last at 32.
So I nailed it, basically.
I nailed it.
Well, I nailed it first, Sean. I nailed it first.
I don't know how much.
Then you just took my take.
I don't know how much that means, but. Sure.
I mean, if you look at his draft, draft rankings, it makes sense. Go look at them. Go look at who he has 1st, 2nd, 3rd. I'm like, hey, listen, this can't be argued. I mean, the teams he has in the top 5, they killed it, guys. I mean, they absolutely killed. I mean, Dane Brugler knows what he's talking. I mean, these teams. Here's his top 5, guys. I'll go over them with
Patriots are going to be up there. The Browns
Patriots are number 1. Yeah. Cleveland Browns are number 2. Yeah. Seattle Seahawks are number 3. Number 4 is the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 5.
I don't like that. I love the New York. Did not have a good draft.
Absolutely,
the Giants had a great draft. The 4 of the top 5, I agree with. I do not agree with the Pittsburgh.
Arizona Cardinals at 6. Bears.
I agree with that. The Cardinals had a great sneaky draft, man.
I think the
Will Johnson in the 2nd round. Give me a break.
I think the Eagles.
Walter Nolan. Wow.
I think the Eagles picking last might have had the best draft.
The Eagles were one of my favorite drafts. I mean, to get Jahad Campbell and Makuba in your first 2 picks. That's insane.
I like the Eagles draft
And
too.
Ty
I just
Robinson,
if you look at the Eagles' last 3 or
a
4
top
picks, man,
5 ranked
he
tackle in the
talks
draft.
about how they're all huge question marks. None of those guys. I mean, I know obviously late round picks are always question marks, but he's like, these are all guys who nobody has any idea where they're going to land in the NFL. Like, where are they starters? Are they backups? Are they practice squad? The Eagles. Dane Brugler talks about their last 3-4 picks. He's like, these were a lot of question marks here. Very
Yeah, I think people had
uncharacteristic
the
for the
same
Philadelphia
questions
Eagles.
about. I think people had the same question about Cooper DeJean when he fell to 40. We saw how that worked
No,
out.
that's not a late round pick. That's
Foster,
Kyle,
I
was
liked
Arizona on that list?
number 6.
Yeah, 6. That's what we were just talking about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Walter
Arizona-
Nolan, they had a really good draft.
The team
man.
that he said, the team.
I think the
name
Giants
top,
are the best draft.
Name
Giants
the
or
top
the
5
Patriots.
again. There was a team on there that I was just looking at that I
The
was.
New England Patriots are 1. The Cleveland Browns are 2.
Where do you have Buffalo?
The Seahawks are
Seattle.
3.
Seattle had a
throw it?
phenomenal draft.
Seattle did too. They got Arroyo, they got Milrow, they got Eamon Wari, and they got their
Sean, what'd
starting
you ask?
guard and Gray Zabel.
Buffalo.
Buffalo. I think here. Let me say this about Buffalo.
I personally think Buffalo killed it on the defense.
Buffalo did, and guess what? This is a draft we're going to be looking back at next year potentially when the Bills are winning the Super Bowl and saying the Bears gifted them the defense that they needed to get to the Super Bowl. The Bears are single-handedly responsible for this Bills draft, basically, guys. And the Bills got a lot better in places they needed to get better. Watch out for that conversation.
Sean, he had the Buffalo Bills at 22, and the reason he did that is because he said there's a big chunk. Their last 4 picks may not make their roster.
Yeah, and I mean, JT Sanders was a reach in the second round where they traded up, but they added big uglies to get and Maxwell Hairston might be the best cornerback in this draft.
Sean, they don't have any receivers.
Guys, can I throw one out here that I think is sneaky good draft that no one's talking about?
Hold on. Did Sean share that with anyone?
Billy Bean talking about the receiver room. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah,
that was
he didn't share it, but yeah,
that was fucking awesome.
Listen, man, the Dallas Cowboys taking Tyler Booker at 12 was my second favorite pick of the draft, maybe my favorite pick of the draft between him and Jihad Campbell.
Great
and
pick.
And then they got Donovan Ezeraku in the second round. Then in the third round, they got Shaban Rebel, who should have been a second round pick. Then in the 5th round, they got Blue, their running back, who will probably be their starting running back, guys.
I think he's going to be the best rookie running back this season. He's going to get every carry.
The Cowboys killed this draft, and no one's talking about it. The Cowboys did exactly what they needed to do in this draft. I give them an A.
He has them ranked right outside the top 10.
Yeah, I know. And I've seen them in the middle of the pack by a lot of these draft grades. I think the Cowboys should be in the top 5. I would take them and put them in that Steelers spot in Dane Brugler's order because I kind of agree with everything else.
What do you dislike about the Steelers draft? Just out of curiosity, I'm asking.
Really, mostly waiting so long to draft a quarterback.
Yeah, I mean that's inexcusable.
Waiting so long to draft a quarterback, it was a big need for them, and I like Will Howard a lot, and I did say that the Steelers would be a perfect fit for Will Howard. But let me pull up their draft because I remember looking at it.
Well, I got it right in front of me. I got it right in front of me, man. So they got Derek Harmon, Caleb Johnson, Jack Sawyer, Yahya Black, Will Howard, Carson Bruner, and Dante Kent.
I like their first 3 picks, Kyle. I like Harmon. He's perfect. He will take over for Hayward in that defense 100%. Caleb Johnson, they needed that running back after losing Najee Harris, so that was a good pick for them as well. And Jack Sawyer, obviously, you can put him on the other side of TJ Watt, and you got a pretty ferocious defense. But you have no quarterback, and you waited until the 6th round to address it. And Shedeur Sanders was there over and over again. Now you say what you want about Shedeur Sanders. He tanked his draft stock, but he's still a better quarterback than a lot of guys that went before him. And the Steelers had a lot of opportunities to address that position.
Did those two Iowa State
Sean asked where the
receivers
Chiefs
go to the
are.
same team?
Huh?
Did those 2 Iowa State receivers go to the same team?
Jalen Nolan, Jaden Higgins, both on the Texans. Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Man, how many receivers do the Texans have? Jesus, they have like 30 receivers.
How many of them stay on the field?
Scott Angel says
Dale's not going to be back for a long time. I can tell you
Scott Angel says Bears sure did help the Bills, agreeing with me on that. I think that's going to be a big talking point this year when the Bills defense.
That was their trade partner the whole draft.
It's like the Bills when they traded to the Chiefs and allowed them to get Patrick Mahomes. It's going to be that type of conversation. Like Bears just gifted them this.
Ryan Poles' trade with the Rams to get the 4th round pick next year was one of my favorite things that occurred in this entire draft this season.
I think they missed on some talent guys moving back so much though. Like,
hey, where did he have Kansas City rank, Kyle?
I think they were near the bottom.
Bears fan for life says because the Bills were so much closer to Super Bowl than us, they took advantage of the trades to get better. Foster says Cowboys did well 100. Notorious says Jerry will find a way to screw that up. And he also says Steelers are tanking for Archie. Foster thinks Yaya is going to be good. And Ron is asking if the Steelers are going to sign Rodgers.
This is what I want to say about
Sean.
Steelers.
He had him ranked 18.
The Steelers put themselves.
They had a solid draft, guys. They had a really
Steelers
solid
put
draft.
themselves in position.
Really good draft.
They did.
Watch out for Jalen Royals, dude. Jesus Christ.
This is what bothered me the most about what the Steelers are doing. If Aaron Rodgers, because Will Howard's not your starter week 1, if Aaron Rodgers is their plan and has been, why did you just give him the opportunity to demand a lot more money out of you? Because now it's a fucking necessity, right? I mean, now Rodgers has leverage now. Like he knows that they are in desperate need of him.
Did you hear the Rodgers interview, man? I mean, he explained it all. I mean, I know people don't like listening to Aaron Rodgers, but he said one of his friends is going through some. He didn't say what it is, but it's something crazy, and he said it's life or death. And he's like, right now, as a friend, he's basically family.
He's having a really bad ayahuasca trip.
I have to focus my attention on my family and my friends. There's something he said. I've explained it to the Steelers. They know what it is. I'm not going to talk about it. It's his personal business, but I'm living with him. I'm
Another one of his girlfriends broke up with him.
I'll focus on football when I have time to focus on football. That's what he said. I mean, listen,
do I think for him to be in a position to do that?
I don't know, but at least he explained it.
I want to touch on the Shedeur Sanders. You know where I am with him. Shedeur Sanders has a chance. He was drafted to the Cleveland Browns, who have, by all measures, a god-awful quarterback room. It's not a very good one. Keep your head down.
Dylan Gabriel should have been drafted where Shedeur Sanders was.
Let Sean make his point.
Say this. Go in there, play football, keep your head down. Put all the other bullshit away that makes everyone hate you. I'm so good. I'm this, I'm that, because NFL teams just told you what they thought of you. Go prove your doubters like myself and everybody else that there's a ton of them wrong. Go play football and shut the fuck up.
And
because
Sean,
everything he did during this draft showed his immaturity as well.
Yeah, and Sean, the chances of that happening are very low.
He
had a party celebrating being drafted in the 5th round, and that's just too much, man. Listen, I love Shedeur Sanders. I wouldn't have celebrated falling out of the first round, guys. For sure. But I love Shedeur, and I think this has all been bullshit, Sean. But at the end of the day, you see, there's all this footage of him and Cam Ward having conversations when they're practicing. Have you guys seen that? Where Cam Ward's like, "I'm trying to be a football player," and Shadeur's like, "You want to make a song together, man? I just did a song with Rich Homie Quan or some shit." Yeah, I mean, like, his focus is not in the right spot. That's why he fell. He tanked his interviews 100%. But in terms of talent, he is better than a lot of quarterbacks that went before him. So what you're saying makes total sense, Sean. If he just puts his head down and goes to work, he should have good results, and he's in a prime opportunity to do so. But the odds of him actually doing that, I am starting to question, because this dude don't seem to get it, and that's concerning to me. I love him. I think he's a damn good quarterback, but he might be one of those tragic stories, Johnny Manziel type.
He'll have a damn good running back room.
He's going to have a good
tight ends.
And a good offensive coordinator in Kevin Stefanski.
They got Gunnar Helm on top of Njoku.
Amphioris in the building, one of my favorites. Amphioris, thanks for joining us,
Tom,
man.
what were you
Thanks for
saying?
being here.
I
Hit
missed
that
what you
like
were
button.
saying. You said answer my question.
What was that?
You said to answer your question, Brandon. I didn't hear
no. A couple of weeks ago, you were asking me that you didn't hear any of the noise about Shedeur Sanders, and this is the kind of stuff that I was talking about. Just his mind is not where it was supposed to be coming into this draft. Not only did he have bad advice, not participate in his pro day, not do the combine stuff, when it was suggested to him by NFL scouts, he did everything he could to tank his stock. And it just shows.
And Deion Sanders helped him an awful lot too, Sean. Deion Sanders helped him an awful lot.
Well, his father gave him bad advice.
Yeah, he did. He did not help
his Harper. What's going on, man?
He did not help his son out at all, man. It's a tragic story. I hope he can pull it together, because I think he's a damn good quarterback.
I'm not going to root against the kid.
I want to see him.
I'm
I want to
not.
see him succeed. I want to see him succeed.
want
He
him
should
to-
be
All right,
the starter
I-
on the Browns.
I feel like these draft rankings got the conversation off base here. Do you guys want to talk more about the Bears draft picks? How we think these guys can impact this team?
No, I thought that was good conversation, Kyle. We're flowing here, man. We're
Well, no,
killing
just
it.
like-
I love it.
Hold on,
We got
real
50 in
quick.
the building.
Real
We got 50.
quick. Between Kenny Pickett, Deshaun Watson,
Joe Flacco,
Dylan
Dylan
Gabriel,
Gabriel, Shador Sanders.
Shador
Yeah.
Sanders should start on this football.
He
team,
should be the
honestly.
starter.
If he
He's not
doesn't, that
above
tells you
Giants.
something. If he doesn't, that tells you something. If he
Hey,
doesn't
listen,
earn it,
No,
that's a
I have nothing against Dylan
Joe-
Gabriel.
Joe
That
Flacco
Oregon
could
team
still
had a
play
real
good.
explosive offense, but this guy is like 5'9", dude.
yeah, and he's slow, and he's
I
not
can't
fast.
believe he
Kyle's
was
favorite type of
drafted.
quarterback.
Yeah,
He's not going to make it in the NFL. I can tell you.
No,
They
no,
never
and
did.
he was drafted
never
before
did.
Shador Sanders, which is blasphemous, guys. That was blasphemous. I'm sorry. I could see Jalen Milroe potentially, but even that was too much. Shador Sanders should have gone before a lot of these guys. That
like
really
Milroe.
tells you. That really tells you that he tanked his draft stock totally. And it's a combination of both things can be true, guys. Shador Sanders is a very talented quarterback in this draft, top 2 talented quarterbacks in this draft, as far as I was concerned. You could argue Jackson Dart, 2 or 3, whatever. But none of those guys that went before him after Jackson Dart and Cam Ward should have. So there's a reason that happened, and it's because he did not play the game. And if that works out for him, good on him, man. But eventually you got to put your head down and go to work. And hopefully he figures that out and he starts doing it, as you said, Sean.
Yeah, New Harper, thanks for joining us, man. How you doing? Yeah, he says Gabriel has great arm. He's just too short to see over the line. I think
We've seen New Harper before, right? Do we need a clap for him?
I have not. I have
I
never.
thought he
seen
was
him.
in on Saturday, but I mean, if we want to get the
I
clap out,
apologize.
his name is New. We'll treat him that. Yeah, listen, Harper. I loved Gabriel. I loved when he transferred to Oregon because I knew he was going to play some. I knew he was going to ball out. But I've never, as much as I love Dylan Gabriel in both programs that he played for in college, never did I think this guy was going to be drafted to the NFL. I just didn't believe that was.
he was with us on Saturday, guys. I thought so.
Hey, either way, nice to see you again, brother. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here.
Clap today. Saturday was crazy.
Yeah.
Listen, we got Foster, we got New Harper, we got breaking news. Bruce,
Dylan Gabriel was
Notorious
Oklahoma,
TVG.
right?
Love all of y'all, man. Thanks for being here. Ron Winarski, you guys are killing it tonight. We appreciate you. You're packing the building, so we're happy to have everybody in here.
Here, you guys want to get into some of these picks? Did you hear Luther Burden? His pre-draft question was, who did he want to get passes from in the NFL? Did you guys hear this shit?
You got it.
Name 2 quarterbacks. You tell me which one you'd be more excited about catching passes from.
Okay.
Caleb Williams or Drake May?
Caleb Williams.
Oh, well, that's a loaded question. You only get 2 options.
Hey,
I would have picked Caleb
Drake May. He could have picked Drake May. Drake May's got a hell of an arm, man.
Shuck is not better than Deion Sanders, guys. Shuck is about to be 26 years old. No way, sir. No, I'm sorry. Shuck is not better than Shador Sanders. It's just not.
Dude,
not
someone put together Shuck's fumble film and did it with circus music on Twitter. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
Was his combine pass in there too? The one he just dirted right in front of that receiver? Man,
it was him trying to escape the pocket and throw in.
I agree, New Harper. He's burning weed too. This is the next guy to start in the NFL because by the time the NFL starts, he will be 26. And Foster, listen, I understand.
He went to high school with Trevor Lawrence and fucking
short quarterbacks have made it in the NFL before. You just got to play the odds. I mean, there's been 2,000 quarterbacks in the NFL. 5 under the height of 6 foot have been good. I mean, those are not good odds. You're just up against the odds, and it's not good. It's not good odds.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, off of football, we have a breaking basketball story to tell you. Shaquille O'Neal has just agreed to become the men's basketball GM, it says, at Sacramento State.
Wow. Who cares? Who the hell cares? Did he just open a new Papa John's franchise we can talk about too?
Dude, this guy, do you guys know how much shit
Shaq-a-Roni is now available at Papa John's, guys.
Do you know how much shit this guy owns? He owns 144 Five Guys, 200 car
makes
washes.
candy.
I mean, this guy is.
No, Shaq is the shit. I'm just saying, I don't know if that's breaking. I don't know if that's breaking news, man.
I actually thought it was the Sacramento Kings.
Sacramento.
I didn't read it all the way.
Okay.
I didn't read it all the way. I didn't read it all the way to the end.
Well, plus Sean is the biggest college basketball fan here, so I understand. To
That's
Sean,
pretty-
that's breaking news.
That's pretty big, dude. Shaquille
The
Max-
Sacramento buzzing
Max-
bees.
Max
I don't
Crosby.
even know.
Max
Who are they?
Crosby. Max Crosby is the general manager of Eastern Michigan
The
University.
assistant general manager.
Is he
the
really?
assistant general manager, not the actual.
not know that.
These are titles that they get like in what's the word? I'm blank. Like it's like they just get this title, but how does Max
Honorary
Crosby have the
title?
honorary? There
Honorary
you
title?
go. Yeah. How does Max Crosby
Well, they
actually
just
make
bring- they just-
personnel decisions for a college
they
football
just-
team?
they just bring
while
the
he's in the middle
notoriety.
of an NFL season.
It says he's going to help with
They
scouting.
just bring notoriety. That's all. they're
Yeah,
doing.
I'm sure he's going to be scouting a whole lot for college football while he's trying to scout offensive tackles throughout the NFL season.
Oh,
I
he
don't
doesn't
see
have
that.
to scout those guys. They're right across from him.
No, you got to scout them and you got to watch their game, Phil. You got to make sure that you know their tendencies. I mean, that's going to be his focus. That's going to be his focus, man. I don't know. All these things are honorary titles to me,
Guys,
Sean.
something I
thank you for
want to talk
the
about because
verbiage.
we're talking about the Bears draft picks. We're also talking about players.
We haven't
playing
talked
outside-
much about them at all. Let's get into
Players
Yeah,
it.
let's
playing-
get into some draft
I was
picks.
trying to do.
Players playing outside their position. Has anyone watched the tape that somebody put together of Shemar Turner playing on the edge?
Yes.
But did
Shemar
have to use
Turner
My-
is not going to play the edge. I don't think. I
My
don't think
God, dude, he better play some on
I
the
don't think
on the
so.
outside.
I don't think
He
I don't see it
is
happening.
so much better against tackles than he is against guards and centers. I'm going to be honest. When he was playing against guards and centers, rushing the pass, he was kind of just put on his ass. When he was playing against tackles, he was blocking them into the quarterback's lap almost consistently.
I like
Like-
Shemar Turner. I thought Darius Alexander would have been a better pick for a 3 technique. If it was about the versatility, like you're saying, Brandon, where they want to move him around, maybe put him on the edge.
He looks good on the outside, man.
I just don't see it, man. I don't see it working out for him in the NFL at that spot. To be honest, I think
Why?
he will be in that 3 tech rotation to be just because of his size and speed, man. I don't think he has the speed to get around the edge. I don't think he has the size to blow through the biggest left tackles in the NFL and bull rush.
He's a pretty big dude, man. He's like 290.
Yeah, I just don't see it. I think this guy with the low center of gravity and that ability to just get under the pad level of the guards, you just got to coach him up and you got to get him on the interior and blowing up that pocket. That's what I want to see from Shemar Turner, to be quite honest.
I want to see Javon Dexter and Shemar Turner play a little bit on the outside. I really do. Honestly,
Javon Dexter, I'm with that. I don't see it with
I'm gonna go
Shemar
with
Turner.
Brandon on this one. Just on the mere fact that when Dennis Allen looks for defensive players, he looks for players that can play multiple positions.
The versatility is huge. Yeah,
players. So I think
when he's
maybe,
6'3",
and I'm not saying
It's
for
a big
sure,
dude.
but maybe the fact that he can play edge and he can put his hand in the dirt is the reason that he was drafted maybe over a Darius Alexander, because he is versatile. He has the exact size that he looks for in his defensive ends and tackles as well.
He has no bend. He has no bend. He has no bend on the edge to rush.
He's kind of the size of a defensive end. He's really fit. He's not this is not a tackle that's going to fill up gaps. He's
20 pounds heavier than Deo, isn't he?
He's this. Well, that's what I showed you guys that text. I forget who it was. It's some ESPN or no NFL Network analyst was writing about him and said he's basically interchangeable with Dale. That's what this guy is.
Well, I could see Deo going to the inside on NASCAR package type stuff for sure. I could see that more so than Turner going to the outside. But here, man, I think the Bears 100% are focused on that versatility, like Brandon's saying, like 100%. Sean's saying, on defense and offense. They want to be able to line guys up everywhere, and they want to be unpredictable and make same things look different and different things look the same. So Shemar Turner moving around, Dio moving around, Austin Booker moving around, potentially Javon Dexter, who I think should be the ultimate chess piece along that defensive line. All those things could be very true. Kyler Gordon, like you brought up earlier, Brandon, moving into that safety spot. That's clearly going to be something that happens this year at some point. Dennis Allen, it wants to move these guys around.
Yeah, he's innovative.
Wants them to be jacks of all trades in one way or another. So I could totally see it being the case, man. I just think Shemar Turner is better suited at that 3 tech.
All right, so I just because this is obviously an algorithm based on his history of snaps in college football. I Googled, has Shemar Turner played edge? This is what Google says. He can line up anywhere from inside at defensive tackle to outside as an edge rusher on both sides of the line. He can also play with his hand in the dirt or stand up as a defender on the edge. As this flexibility will be heavily coveted by the defensive coordinators around the NFL. So that's that. I mean, this kid, I'm telling you, man, when I watched that tape, he barreled through some good offensive tackles. I'm not talking about like shit offensive tackles. Some pretty quality names. This guy just put them right in the quarterback's
He
lap.
played in the SEC, so he played against top level competition. I would love to see him just penetrating the A and B gap, just knocking the center and the guard backwards and really putting some pressure up the middle. But if you can move him around, and that's why the Bears drafted him, then I am all for it, man, because I do think the versatility will be important to the defense's success this year, being able to plug guys in different spots.
And I will say this, in the tape where he's beating these tackles, a lot of times he's standing up before the snap. I don't know that Dennis Allen's going to do that.
Yeah, that's something to think about.
That's not typical in a 4-3 where your edge is basically playing the outside linebacker.
Yeah, because you need them to set the edge against the run, and that's tough to do from a standing up position versus your hand in the dirt. Yeah. So who knows, man? I love the Shemar Turner pick. I love it.
I think it was a good pick. Again, I don't hate the draft. I just think that they missed a couple of spots. Let me just ask you guys this.
Well, the kid out of Ohio State, the Kyle
or Watts, who would you rather have in that position?
Huh?
Trapilo or Watts? Who would you rather have in that
position? Yeah, I wanted
Watts in that draft spot.
Watts or Tate Ratledge, I would have taken over Trapilo in that spot, to be honest.
And then the
Tate Ratledge was the guy I would have taken.
I would have loved Tate Ratledge. I love the mullet, man. The power of the mullet, man.
Tate Ratledge was, if you're going to go offensive line there, I thought Tate Ratledge was the guy because he's your swing guard immediately and will fill in as a starter very soon in the NFL.
And the edge from Ohio State, that was
Sawyer.
Yeah.
Again,
that
it's
hurt.
not about me hating the draft. I just think that they missed needs that could have filled, or positions that could have filled needs, excuse me if I say that correctly, when they picked backup players that are going to have to be developed over 2 years. You know, you can have that need. Brisker goes out, Watts goes in immediately. You know, Makuba goes in immediately. You know, these guys are also learning on special teams.
Makuba's a starter. Makuba is a starter in the NFL. Kyle, where do you stand on that Ozzy Trapilo draft pick and Shemar Turner as well in terms of that second round? Because again, Tate Ratledge, Watts was there, Makuba was there when they went Turner. There was some other potential areas they could have dived into, man, of needs, positions of need on this team. But I still think they address other positions of need very well too. Personally, what do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, I like them both. I like them both a lot. I think the Bears' eyes. I know obviously people are not understanding, or people just don't think the same. But I believe that Trapilo is. They project him to be their starting left tackle next year, and he needs to sit on the bench, and he's going to learn from guys like Braxton Jones, Joe Tooney, Darnell Wright. I think ultimately that guy is a mountain of a man, and he will be a very good starting left tackle in the NFL. I'm not saying he's top 3 or anything like that. You guys know that I've been lobbying for them to draft offensive and defensive linemen for the last 3 years. They did it, and Bears fans are complaining. I also like Shemar Turner. I also like Shemar Turner a lot. The only concern with Shemar Turner is how bad that surgery went.
That injury, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it should have been a routine surgery. He just had a small fracture in his bone, and the doctor screwed it up. It got infected. It became a much bigger problem than it should have been. It wasn't fair to him. He had to miss the Senior Bowl. It sucks. It's not fair, but I think ultimately, if he can get back to full strength, get back to healthy, he's going to be a very good player in the NFL. And we've talked about this time and time again, guys. Like, how old is Grady Jarrett? 32. I mean, you want that 30
years old.
Now we got 2 23 or younger 2-3 techniques on this team, and they're going to be on a very cheap contract.
Take Makuba out of the equation, though. 2 defensive tackles went directly after the Bears went Shemar Turner, and it was Omar Norman Lott, and it was Darius Alexander to New York, who might have been New York's sneaky best pick, honestly. So do you think the Bears, if they were going to go 3 technique, they had a better option than Shemar Turner with those 2 guys that went after Omar Norman Lott to the Chiefs and Darius Alexander to the Giants?
I would have liked Norman Lott. That's just
really.
personally. Yeah, that's me personally. I know people keep saying he's undersized, but we heard the same stuff about Kalijah Cansey, and he's absolutely a stud in the NFL. So, I mean, these positions are changing. Not everybody has to be an absolute monster or super fast or super. These positions are changing, like you said, Dustin. It's almost getting to the point now, and it's not just football; it's baseball as well, where they want everybody on the field to be able to play 3-4 positions. Like, I think Norman Lott is a guy who can be moved around a lot too, and I think he's going to be a very, very good player in the NFL. And the Bears visited with him. I mean, they brought him into the building. They thought they liked him. I was just kind of confused when they drafted Turner, but I like Turner.
I think Trapilo can be the left tackle for this team in the future. I think the Bears drafted him thinking that. And again, as I said at the beginning of the show, they're planting a lot of seeds and they're trying to see what grows. And they're going to harvest what comes out of that, the best option that comes out of those seeds that they've planted. And Trapilo is now a part of that equation. And I liked the pick. I did. And Shemar Turner is going to be a damn good 3-tech at the very worst. And if Brandon's right, maybe they move him around, and that versatility is why they went for him. I thought Darius Alexander was a better option if you're looking for a straight 3 technique that pushes the pocket and gets in the quarterback's face. I thought so personally. But I'm not upset with any of these picks, and I think the Bears came away with one of the best drafts I've seen them have in years. I've been very critical of Bears drafts. I love this draft by the Chicago Bears.
You know what else is really cool about this draft is you guys have talked about it. You talked about it as soon as we got on the show here. I mean, you can see each particular coach's fingerprints on these draft picks. You could tell. I mean, when they talked to, I wasn't a huge fan of the Ruben Hippolyte pick, but when they talked to him, he was like, Dennis Allen and I had a really good conversation. Well, obviously Dennis Allen is the reason they drafted Ruben Hippolyte.
The conversation he had when the Bears called him is very interesting. They want him in
very smart,
rundowns.
very smart guy.
Very smart. This kid runs a 4.39 at 255 pounds.
His tape looks a lot slower than that speed that they're the testing speed, guys. When you watch his film, he looks a lot slower than 4.39. I'm just gonna say it. He does not look like that burner on the field.
Remember, the Bears did this with Nick Roach. It didn't work out. Being fast doesn't mean you're going to be a good player in football. That doesn't mean anything.
And there's a difference between game speed and testing speed too, Kyle.
Yeah.
There's a difference. You also weren't here on
I think that's the worst pick. I think there's no argument.
We cannot find this guy's age anywhere.
I'll tell you. I'll take game speed over
100%. And that's what Luther Burden has. Game speed. Luther Burden has game speed.
I agree, Sean. I'll take game speed over somebody running on a track with no pads all day, every day.
That's why I think Restrepo got hurt. But his game tape, he's not a 4.80. Him going undrafted, I think, was a crime of this draft. Honestly, I really do. I wish the Bears would have stepped up and made that move as an undrafted free agent and grabbed that guy in the building. But him and Cam Ward will do very well together, I believe. So
in 2020, Hippolyte was a freshman, so you would think that would make him 18, right? And so 5 years later, he's now 23 years old. Or unless he took a redshirt freshman year, and then
he was.
I think he was in college for 6 years.
What's really strange is
24 years old.
What's really strange is that you just can't find it anywhere.
Most of these have the player's birth date on here. They don't have his birth date on here. I don't see it.
It's really weird.
I've never seen anything like it. We were trying to find it.
It's like one of those Dominican baseball players.
He doesn't even know how old he is. Yeah,
it's like one of the Chinese gymnasts in the Olympics.
A secret agent before he joined the Maryland.
Foster agrees with you, Brandon. He thinks Turner is going to play the edge mostly. I mean, we'll see, man. I think they drafted him to be a 3-tech, but I mean, if that versatility is there,
I don't think mostly Foster's. I think he's going to be versatile.
He can move around, be versatile in his alignment. Okay.
Yeah,
so you guys are basically saying they're to do the exact same thing with him that they did with Walker.
Yeah, but hopefully he's a better player than
more
Walker.
Athletic.
Guys,
listen. The
Walker
injury
was like what, a 4th-round pick? I mean,
and the one thing that a lot of Bears fans don't know about Shemar Turner is this guy was ranked on ESPN's board at 42.
Notorious.
He was.
And the Bears
top 50 pick.
The Bears draft him at 56 because of the injury and the botched procedure Kyle's talking about.
But Darius Alexander is probably ranked above him on that list.
But when you get the 42nd overall talent at 56, you can't be too upset about it if you're a fan of the team that does it, right?
Draft experts also love Trapilo. They love him. I haven't seen a bad word spoken about this guy. Nowhere. I have not seen anything that says perennial backup. I mean, everybody thinks everything I've said says potential or expected to be a very good NFL starter. Every single thing I've read said should be a very good NFL starter at some point.
And
just-
we haven't talked about Luke Newman at all either, guys.
I'm just going to say, I hope it's not a big mistake.
Maybe
because
my
his
favorite player
numbers
in this
project
draft
better at
besides
right.
Luther Burden. I
And
love
I'm not
this
a big
kid,
fan
dude.
of moving this guy over. So
Well, Trapilo,
you
if
guys-
he ends
you
up
He
guys
can
being the
play
left tackle
both.
for
He
2
can play
years,
both, and that makes
He might be
him
the best
very
pick.
intriguing.
listen, Trapilo, if you go look at his numbers, was way better on the right than he was on the left. So you're talking about you drafted a guy to try and develop and hope he turns into a left tackle. This isn't me saying it; it's the numbers, it's fact.
Well, that's what you're
He was
looking
a
for,
better
though. Is
right
traits.
tackle.
You're looking for
You know
traits,
what?
though, too.
When he
Right?
but when he
Traits
was
that
drafted, they even said it
translate.
on the draft. They even said it on the draft. The Bears drafted a right tackle. They were confused at the pick as well. I'm not making these things up.
Well, they were also confused every time Shador Sanders wasn't drafted, and you weren't using that as evidence for your case.
That's not apples to apples.
I mean, no, it's the
The
same.
Bears
I
have
mean,
an
you're talking about
the Bears
those
have an
commentators.
all-pro right tackle. You're developing a left tackle now from a guy who's a right tackle. Same with Darnell Wright.
Potentially.
Darnell Wright failed as a left tackle at Tennessee. He was a starting all-pro stud, all-American at the right. These are
Worst-
I'm not making this up. These are actual
Sean,
facts.
worst case scenario, though, Trapilo becomes your go-to guy anytime one of those guys goes down, and you can plug him in, and you should get respectable play from him, which we
I
did
hope
not
so.
have at the backup tackle positions
I
on
hope
either
so.
side last year. So that's worst case scenario, right?
I do
Well,
hope so.
Ideally, that's
let's-
worst case scenario.
we've-
Worst
we've-
case scenario, he turns into your left tackle, or maybe you move some things around and you put
We've-
him at
So,
right.
now
We've beat-
so are you saying
But he ain't playing guard. He's not
We've
playing
beat-
guard, guys.
So
I
you're
don't want to see
admitting that
that.
Karam Ahmadaji was a bad pick then, and they dropped
Ahmadaji.
the ball on that. That's
God, I love Sean with his the player. And listen, Karan Amagaji could still turn into something too, man. That was my point. If you have 4 guys that could potentially be starters at the tackle positions, you now get your pick of the litter. So I like that strategy in a draft where you did not have a go-to surefire left tackle to draft. That makes sense to me. If I'm looking at it from Ryle Pohl's perspective, if I can't get that surefire guy, let me get 4. Let me just put 4 guys on this roster that can compete, and I can pick the best of the 4. That makes sense to me.
Brennan, who do you think Dane Brugler's favorite Bears draft pick was outside of Colston Loveland?
Luke Newman.
Luke Newman. We've beat up Trapilo a lot here. I want. Not for a minute did I dislike this pick. I didn't have to read much of. This kid is a stud. He's 6'4", 315 pounds, guys, and of solid muscle. This kid's not out of shape. He's a monster. He's probably a starting caliber guard in the NFL today, if you ask me. You want to talk about depth? I think the Bears are planning on using this kid at center, but let's say Jonah Jackson goes down and he's got to play guard. I don't think you're going to miss a beat here. I really don't. I mean, this
might be better than Jonah Jackson.
This kid is a monster.
He might be.
I love this pick. But Jonah Jackson played really quality football when he was on the field. He just
Brandon, in the last 2 years at Michigan State, 743 snaps, pass block snaps, 1 sack allowed.
Yeah,
in 743 pass block snaps, he's allowed 1 sack in the Big Ten, guys. This was
he played some of the best.
No. He played for Holy Cross. He only played 1 year for Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan State.
Well, last year in the Big
3
Ten.
years for Holy Cross.
But in 2 years, 743 snaps, 1 sack allowed.
I mean, that's impressive. I like this kid. There's nothing. I mean,
but he's not. But my point is, he's not developmental. He's that dude.
I agree with you.
His relative athletic score was 55 out of 1,700 guards since 1987. So he's again another guy, versatile, played multiple positions, very athletic. There's a theme to everything that the Bears did in this draft. So, and he's also, guys, he's also repping Chicago. He's from Brother Rice. So he's a Chicago kid. That's probably why he wasn't on the top 30 visits, because he was a top 30 visit and he was a local visit, so he wasn't on the list.
Foster says Hippo graduated in 2020. He was born in April of 2003 or 2004. They are not sure.
You guys, my favorite pick outside of the top two, and Luther Bird and Colston Loveland, for me personally, guys, is Zal Frazier. I think Zal Frazier is going to be a good starting corner in the NFL.
Yeah, boy.
I think he's going to be good. He's a ball hawk. He had 6 picks last year. He had 12 passes defended. I mean, this guy, he's the real deal.
I saw 9 pass breakups.
How
but
he fell to the 5th is crazy.
Well, because he played all over the place. He was even in community college throughout his career. He was at Southern Illinois. He went to community college. Texas, San Antonio.
Had a lot of ups and downs for sure in his career.
There was a lot of cons listed for him.
Foster's a Holy Cross guy, so he knows a thing or two about Luke Newman.
He was academically ineligible. He had limited playing time. He was at community college. He bounced around. He transferred from Southern, to Texas, San Antonio. He's
with
a
community college stop in there too.
Here, I'm going to tell you this. The thing that excites me the most is I was listening to his coaches, and they said Al Harris picked this guy out 2 months ago, circled his name, and said, we can get this guy in the 5th round. What round did we get him in? I can't remember.
The 5th round.
Was it the 5th
169.
round?
169.
So exactly what Al Harris wanted, and I respect that guy as a coach. I think he's one of the better coaches in the secondary in the league. So
I was pushing for Al Harris to be the defensive coordinator for the Bears last year. I wanted that. I love Al Harris. He's my favorite coach on this staff, probably. It's between him or Antoine Randall. Zal Frazier was a steal in the 5th round. Like you said, Kyle, 6 picks. I saw 9 pass breakups, 6'3", 185. This guy is a boundary corner. He is one of those long guys that will get his hands on the ball, and I cannot wait to see him start competing for snaps on that outside cornerback spot. And again, just to continue to feed into the theme, this just brings more versatility to your team. Now your defensive backfield, you can maneuver people around. That frees you up to move Kyler Gordon to safety in some spots because you can now put Zal Frazier out there and move Tyreek Stevenson to the nickel potentially. There's a lot of different ways you can run this.
He's also a bullet. New Harper actually just put it up right now.
4.36, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
4.36.
4.36 40. His vertical is 36 and a half
The kid's
inches.
got to put some weight on him, man. That's my
Carl?
only concern when I read his draft profile was this dude is like Jaden Daniels skinny. He's 180 pounds.
185 is what I saw, but yeah, he's a beanpole. He ain't moving to safety. I'll tell you that. He cannot take on those hits, but he will be a damn good boundary corner. And guys, we got over 60 in the building.
Yeah, Brennan, that corner out of Illinois who's on the Seahawks is very, very skinny. Weatherspoon, what is it? Weatherspoon? Is that his name? What's his name?
Yeah, he's a much better.
Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois.
But I'm not comparing their.
I'm pretty sure he was all pro last year.
Comparing their size. You're talking about like size, like it's going to somehow affect his play negatively. It hasn't done it for Weatherspoon. So, I mean, I don't think size has much to do with it for him. As long as he can run a 4.3. I mean, how many corners in the NFL can run a 4.36?
I think corners typically like the fastest guys in the
league. And he's very similar, man. You brought up the Seahawks corners, man. Reek Woolen, very similar size to that guy. And that guy was a middle round pick for the Seahawks.
Reek Woolen is actually his NFL comparison.
There you go.
They went to
I didn't see that. Justin. I didn't see that, but he reminds me of him an awful lot. When you brought up the Seahawks corner, that's what I thought you were talking about because he is very similar to him.
I thought you read my blog because I put that in.
No,
there.
I did not. Sorry, I haven't had a chance to read shit today, but yes, no. Reek Woolen is who he reminds me of, and he was another late round pick that has performed well in the NFL because of his size, speed, hands traits. And Zach can do the same thing for the Chicago Bears. I'm excited about it.
You guys, real quick, I'm sorry. 60 people in the building watching here. We appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Foster Covers and Furious, Stu Harper, Breaking News, Bruce, Ant Mass. Everybody, you guys help me out. Notorious, the Thigh and Smy podcast. I think that's also Foster, right?
Foster's a liar.
No.
Yep.
Science Smy is Carl. Yeah.
Phil's in the building. Obviously, you guys. Bears fans for life. Ron Renarski. Thank you so much for joining us, guys. We appreciate you. Real quick, there's one question I want to ask you guys.
He's saying that's pronounced Zay Frazier. Let's see here.
That makes sense.
Before we get out of here, I just want to ask, or before you guys move on, I just want to ask you one question. Did it surprise any of you that with the Bears pro day visits being Michigan or Georgia? Where else do they visit?
Texas,
Ohio State,
Georgia. You said right.
Did it surprise you that there's one guy on this list from those 4 schools?
No.
No, because the draft just didn't fall the Bears' way.
We got the
Well,
link in there for your blog, by the
Makuba-
way, Sean.
Makuba
Lindsay
could've
just
been-
dropped the link for your blog.
Thanks,
So
Lindsay. I just saw
everybody,
that. Thank
everybody
you.
hit that up. Everybody hit that up. Good content at 4starchicagosports.com. We're all trying to put as much in there as we can. Go through
Yeah,
there
let's give
for
that
all.
a minute real quick.
Yeah,
Guys,
go
we
through
have
all of our
launched-
write-ups are in there, guys. It's a great website. Lindsay has done a great job putting that thing together. Very easy to navigate. You can go get all of our insights on. We got Bull stuff up there. We got Cub stuff up there. A lot of Bears right now, obviously. Draft reactions, and we're gonna get our draft grades in there. Go hit that up, please. 4starchicagosports.com. You can access all of our shows through there as well. Great website. We're happy to have it out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anybody
Thank you
else?
for everything you do.
Kyle,
Thank you for everything you do, and thank you for getting those blogs up for me today and sending me those links, Lindsay. I did blow one up on Facebook. I'm gonna put the Zy Frazier up one here shortly.
Yeah, guys, we launched that a couple weeks ago, and there's already
last
a
week.
lot of content on there. A lot of content. Go back, catch up on it, guys. Check it out. The four of us do the best we can at beat writing, but definitely some very interesting pieces. I've enjoyed everything I've read from these three gentlemen here. So
Yeah,
definitely
ditto.
check
Yeah,
that
well, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. You know, it's there for you to consume if you want it. If you don't, that's okay too. We're still here with our podcast, and we're gonna try to link those blogs up with the stuff we're talking about on here as well, so we can really double down on that content and make sure we're getting out the best information possible we can. So.
Yeah,
Crooked Commish, if you just go back and watch the show after I know you weren't here earlier, but we talked about Nick Chubb on the
Nick
Lake
Chubb, yeah. Make sure you go back and watch all the way through.
Yeah, Kyle, I don't know. I was hoping the Bears would take some of the players that we talked about over the course of the last couple months, like Makuba when he was available. But I think with the 60%
This has got to be the
rate,
next thing we get to, guys.
60% hit rate with Ryan Poles in his top 30 visits, I wasn't shocked that he's drafted. At least the guy that he drafted highest at 10 was a guy that he went and visited personally in Ann Arbor, right?
Yeah, I mean, a guy they fell in love with, by all accounts, when they had a conversation with him.
I am in
And
love
Sean,
with Loveland.
to your point, the
The
one
whole
thing I will
NFL
say
seems
about
to be
these
in love
picks,
with
Kyle,
Loveland.
regardless,
We
of
got to
where
get
they
into our
came
draft
from,
grades, guys. Let's not go too off. We got to get into our draft grades overall.
Well,
okay.
I think, like you said, Al Harris was a guy who liked Zay Frazier, and I think that Randall L was definitely a big advocate and probably pushing this front office to draft a guy like Luther Burden. I think each coach had their day. Because I can guarantee you this right now, guys. Richard Hightower is probably ecstatic about Hip Hop Anonymous being on this football team.
He's
So,
got a
like,
lot of speed on special teams now, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Bro, and think about what Poles has done in the past with his head coach. He didn't even give Eberflus the one thing he said he needed. He went for Javon Dexter and Pickens in the second and third round, but like it really felt like there wasn't a synchronicity between the head coach and the GM in terms of what players Poles was getting for the scheme. And now you're talking about, Brandon, multiple coaches having their day and getting their guy and having a voice in that draft room through Ben Johnson, obviously, right? But I mean, you're talking about there's a real symbiosis here between the front office and the coaching staff in terms of getting players, specifically targeting players with certain skill sets that these guys want in their schemes.
Yeah, because
they're getting rewarded with that.
Colston Loveland felt like a Ben Johnson pick. Luther Burden felt like a Randall L pick. The
enemy is going to love Mononge.
Trapilo pick felt like everybody, kind of, be honest, all the guys on the offensive side of the ball.
That was a Ryan Poles pick.
Dennis Allen, I would imagine, had something to say about Shemar Turner. I do believe that Hightower is going to be excited about this linebacker that's 250 pounds and runs a 4.39, dude. That's ridiculous. And then Al Harris got his guy in Zay Frazier. I mean, it feels like the coaches all contributed to this draft as well as Ryan Poles did, and that just defines vision. I mean, this team hasn't hit the ground running yet, but it seems like the coaches are making their impacts pretty heavily already, right? In the way they're building this thing.
Yeah, and I've made this point a lot, Brandon, more specifically with you on the bare minimum. Ryan Poles still to this point, up until now, had not really established, like in my mind, what does a middle linebacker for the Chicago Bears look like? What does a receiver for the Chicago Bears look like? What does a safety, really laying out a template of we can plug and play guys, and we
I
can
agree,
get
Notorious. Dexter was a second round pick as well. I don't consider that bargain shopping. You have now two. You went and got one of the best defensive tackle in Atlanta Falcons history in the offseason, and then you got 2 second round picks, Javon Dexter and Turner. I mean, I don't think they've been bargain shopping on the interior defensive line. As a matter of fact, they have how many how many defensive tackles they have now?
On it, man. But listen, I think Flus was calling for that for years before he got Dexter too. So that was really my main point, is like it didn't seem like they were linked up in the way that this front office and this coaching staff are already. It did.
No, I agree with you, Dustin. I agree with you, Dustin.
That's going to be crucial to having an identity for this team. Now we know this is what I want at quarterback. This is what I want at running back. This is what I want in my offensive line. And I think that that's going to be very beneficial to the Bears' future success, even after a guy like Ben Johnson could be gone.
Were Luke Getsy and Shane Waldron even good enough to define it? Because you clearly watched them pass Tyler Warren, and every single person and their mother's asking, why no Tyler Warren? It's pretty obvious that Ben Johnson said, insert guy here for my offense, and it's not Tyler Warren. This is what fits I'm building this thing. This is the piece that I need to complete it. It's my offense. I'm building it. I'm the engineer here. And it felt like, because Flus wasn't the guy taking these offensive players in the draft. Ryan Poles probably had a bigger influence on that. But let's say Luke Getsy and Shane Waldron were just taking a player they thought was good. It had no fitting or bearing on how the piece they just drafted fit into the puzzle. It didn't seem like
there was a plan or a vision.
No, it was
and
just
now you
random.
see it immediately. Like that. As soon as Ben Johnson is in the building, it feels like there is that camaraderie, and they're working together to develop that vision.
And Dustin, Dustin just talked to the Diane Smith podcast where he says, I would have preferred 10th pick, invest in Kevin Grant instead of Colston Loveland, which hurts to say. Yeah, but Dustin just talked about it. I mean, they should have gone Jalen Carter for Matt Eberflus, because that's what Matt Eberflus said he needed to run his defense. Well, if Ben Johnson came in here and said, hey, I need a guy like Colston Loveland to run my offense, a guy who can open up the middle of the field.
You do it.
And why would you be like, hey, coach, we don't care what you want. We're taking Kenneth Grant at 10.
You got an opportunity to make a great first impression and build a strong relationship between the head coach and the GM. And that's more valuable than anything in terms of winning and having a straight line vision for what winning looks like to the Chicago Bears. 100%.
We got a new joiner here, guys.
Sophisticated thoughts. Oh, sorry, Kyle.
For everything that it's worth, too, if you listen to, Ian Rappaport, he was on the
Harris, what up?
McAfee show earlier today.
Can we get a clap for sophisticated thoughts?
Yeah, he said the first 10 picks were the phone was blowing up off the hook, blowing up. As soon as Colston Loveland was picked, that phone stopped ringing. There was multiple teams that were looking at this guy that wanted
the Texans were reported one of them.
The Broncos were the other one, according to Rappaport. Yeah. Sophisticated thoughts. Thanks for
being here. Sophisticated thoughts.
Yeah, man. If you haven't hit that like button already, please do it. If you're not subscribed, what the hell are you thinking?
I agree.
Subscribe, bro.
Thoughts. Nobody knows who's a reach and who is a steal, and who you can't until they take the football field. We will not know. 100%. I think Kyle Monungai could play a huge role for the show. I think he is their David Montgomery in their eyes.
The player we haven't talked about. Real quick.
I'm gonna throw this up there.
We got 15 minutes to get our grades for this team's draft.
Kyle Monungai.
You guys have
There's no regulations on what time we have to end this thing.
Oh, okay. We're gonna go to 8:30. I'm with it.
Look at that. Their last 2 years in college, they are almost identical.
Yeah, and Monungai's faster.
Yeah, it was a 4.63
to a
4.60.
Yeah,
slightly
faster than David Montgomery.
I mean, I'm just gonna say this about Monungai. Everything I've heard, he's got hands of stone. I think he only had 14 catches in college.
38 catches.
38 total. 14 last year.
38 catches.
14 last
That's
year.
the name you get right, Sean.
Monungai.
We talked about we practiced this before we started.
He's my guy. I actually have it written down right here.
Mine, guy.
Broken down, so I didn't screw up.
None guy.
Exactly what I did.
Listen, I think it was a great value. You could say the two things at once because I kind of agree with Harper here. It was a great value in the 7th round, given the Bears had a need. He can be a power spellback, potentially a short yardage guy, but he has no breakaway speed. He gets caught from behind every time he breaks away. He has a lot of work to do in the pass block game with edge rushers coming off the edge. He's better at it when they're coming in the right in front of his face, but when he's got to move to a spot, he has some trouble, and he cannot catch the ball. This guy is not the future starting running back for the Chicago Bears. He is not taking DeAndre Swift's job, but hopefully with his skill set. No, exactly. But Bears fans kind of think he is. I feel like with the way that they're overhyping this guy, he's gonna be a good player. I think. I hope. I don't know. But I don't think that he was drafted with the thoughts of, well, this guy's going to be our future 3-down running back. He will be a short yardage guy. As Notorious has said, he's a bowling ball, right? And he's got great contact balance. He turns 3-yard gains into 5-yard gains by pushing forward. The Bears need that desperately. So if they can use those two interchangeably, maybe you got something. But neither one of those guys is your every down running back. Monungai is not that guy.
The thing with Monungai is he's the guy, he does exactly what Swift doesn't. And if you guys go to my blog that I wrote today, it's up on the website and on Facebook. I put the comparisons of the different characteristic traits between him and DeAndre Swift on there. They're clearly different running backs. They're going to do different things. You need those hard.
They're both black, but night and day.
Justin, he wasn't talking to you when he said that.
Guess what? When you're on the goal line, you don't have to hand it off
he was
to
talking
Doug
to
Kramer anymore. You can hand it off to this guy and get him.
Oh God, Sean, really? You had to bring that up?
Listen,
I'm saying.
I'm not saying Monungai
last year.
Again, that was a steal of a pick in the 7th round.
And I want to add this. So
he's got a lot of work.
What I perceive happened.
Yeah.
Travion Henderson went the pick before the Bears drafted Luther Burden. I believe they would have picked Travion Henderson. I don't think they would have traded back. I would think they was stayed at 41 and gotten Henderson and Burden. I believe Kyle's correct in saying
that would have been
the
scary.
Minute they saw Henderson off the board, this is what Ben Johnson said. We're going to still get a running back, but all I need from him, now that he's not my future 3-down starter, is a guy who can get short yardage. And this is why I believe this is important to this offense, guys, because Dan Campbell was the head coach of that team, ultimately, that Detroit team that was aggressive in every way they could be. But Ben Johnson had a lot to do with those go for it's on 4th downs, right? The offense was aggressive. They keep, Dustin, we talked about this in the bare minimum. They keep pushing you and pushing you and pushing you. They don't want to back down. They don't want to let down. They want to wear you out. And Ben Johnson absolutely thought about these 4th and short situations that he's going to run into. He wants to have the same aggression here in Chicago. We have these 4th and 1s, these 4th and 2s. You do not want to give the ball to DeAndre Swift. And by God, Sean, don't ever give the ball to Doug Kramer again on one of these runs.
We got Waldron out of the building, so we don't got to worry about that.
You want to give the ball to a guy who can at least fall a yard forward. And
watch his highlights. Watch his highlight. He breaks a tackle on every play.
He falls forward too when he's getting tackled. He falls.
I will say this. I called him David Montgomery light, but he runs a lot like Kareem Hunt. He really, really does.
Nobody's going to love this. He reminds me of Boston Scott,
straight and stiff. He doesn't have a lot of
probably more talented.
Brandon, and to elaborate a little more on what you were saying, it was 33 and 38, Judkins and Henderson. That was a key spot. And then you go in, the Bears traded back. Then you go into the 4th round. It was Tootin and it was Scatabo right before the Bears had their pickup. Right? No, Caleb Johnson went 75 in the third. The Bears didn't have a shot at him. The 2 key spots were those 2 2nd-round running backs, and Judkins and Henderson, and then Scatabo and Tootin right before the Bears picked at 109, and the Bears traded back there too. They assessed the market and said, there's not a guy that we want to take that we think could be that guy for us, so let's just look for a skill set. And I think they found that in Monungai, but I don't think that they found a 3-down back or a guy that's going to light the world on fire. This guy kind of, you guys keep throwing out names. He reminds me a little bit of Khalil Herbert in terms of his lack of breakaway speed, quick one-cut ability, can break some tackles. I mean, he's just an average running back the way it looks like to me in the NFL. Hopefully he turns into more, but this guy it sucks. We all said it sucks that there were so many good running backs in this class and they didn't come away with any of them, but it didn't fall their way to where they felt like they could do it. So they settled for a skill set.
I don't know that breakaway speed's a backbreaker.
I think they kind of
breakaway speed is important.
I think the second they didn't
because
get
you love Judkins. Judkins doesn't have breakaway speed.
Judkins has way more than Khalil Herbert or
you know who else gets
Monangai.
caught from behind? Bucky Irvin, who was fantastic last year as a professional running back.
Hold on,
Running backs get caught from behind all the time, my friends. Breakaway speed isn't the worst.
Kyle, what do
It's
you
something
think
the Bears have needed, man, in a 3-down back. That's all I'm saying.
Well,
Kyle, what do you think of Kyle?
In a 3-down back, that's something they've needed.
Well, I think it doesn't even have to look that deep, guys. I mean, for me personally, I think they are absolutely in love with Ashton GNT. I think they've come out pretty much said it. Once he was drafted by the Raiders, they were like, you know what, GNT is to us as the Jahmyr Gibbs of this draft. I think that now he's gone. We'll go get our Jahmyr Gibbs next year, our guy who could be an every down back, who could be absolutely amazing in the NFL, be one of the most dangerous players on the field. I think Monangai was exactly what Dustin and Vernon said. I mean, I think they're like, hey, we're going to be aggressive in this offense. We're going to go for it on 4th and 1. We're going to go for it on 4th and goal. And from the 1 yard line, we need a guy who can get the 1 yard guaranteed. And then you just built the interior offensive line with Jonah Jackson, Drew Dahlman, and Joe Thuney. You put Monangai behind those guys, he better be able to get that damn yard.
Yeah, we need a yard. Maybe Monangai is that guy that gets it. Maybe the Bears are still looking for somebody too. Maybe there's that Nick Chubb possibility or that J.K. Dobbins possibility, right? So I mean,
or maybe it's Roshan Johnson,
or maybe it's Roshan Johnson. Maybe
we'll say this, Brennan. We'll say this, Brennan. Every good Chicago sports team has a Kyle on it.
I knew it was coming. I texted you. There's the Kyle.
Every good Chicago sports team's got a
Let's get into our grades, guys. Let's get into our grades. We'll go through the picks and grade them and give an overall grade, or are we just going to give the overall grade? How do you guys want to do that?
I wanted to grade the overall offseason, to be honest, with trades and free agents and all.
Shit.
No. Let's just do the draft.
Okay. Stick to the draft.
Don Burr, thanks for joining us, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Don Burr, Lions fan extraordinaire. We had T in here earlier. You missed him. I don't know if he's still with us.
Yeah, solidarity, guys.
He drives a Toyota. Very good.
So do I, man.
Breaking news: Bruce gives the overall draft.
I think he said I can't afford to.
He can't afford the Tesla. He drives a Toyota.
Oh,
really quick before we give our grades, I want to talk to Brandon just really quick. There were a lot of concerns. I watched the Steve Smith. Who was he with? Walsh, their podcast.
The film breakdown he does of the receivers. That shit is awesome.
He had a lot of bad things to say about Burden. And he said that after this, he doesn't think Burden will ever do a one-on-one interview with him. He just simply said he's a different player.
Neither will Jerry Jeudy, and Jerry Jeudy snapped this year in Cleveland.
Well, he said he pouts when he doesn't get the ball in his hand.
Steve Smith thinks.
He doesn't block when he gets the ball when he doesn't get the ball in his hand. When he thinks he's supposed to have the ball in his hand, he quits on his teammates. He said these were characteristics and problems in college. He said when he gets the ball in his hand, he's probably one of the most dynamic players he's ever seen in football. But there's two different people on a football field when it comes to Luther Burden. The one who wants to be a superstar and the one who could be a superstar.
To put in the work.
Yeah,
that's not going to be a problem with Antoine Randall L. and Ben Johnson as his coaches. That's not going to be a problem.
I hope not.
Guys,
I will say this. We'll take a look at that Steve Smith breakdown. That was
exactly,
awesome
Carl.
podcast.
Exactly, Carl. Exactly.
Lindsay, if you're still watching, I did write a piece on this, guys. And Sean, by all measures, this guy's been criticized heavily from a lot of sources about his attitude. He's last in line at practice. That's what I've heard. That's a generalization about this guy's approach. He's not always excited to go out there and do his best, especially when nobody's watching. That's what this. When the scouts weren't there, he didn't care so much to go out there and show out. And that's just not a winning player. It's not. But I believe this, Sean.
Sounds like Boogie from Friday Night Lights.
The culture has shifted when your coaching staff is willing to take this project on and believes in themselves enough to turn this kid around. Because Randall L., guys, is not just a guy.
There's the link for Brandon's article.
Thank you, Lindsay. Is not just a guy who makes you better as a player. He doesn't just give you the growth and develop you need on the field. He helps you with the maturity off the field. This is why Randall L. is one of my favorite coaches in the NFL because I told you guys I want a disciplinarian on this team. I don't think it's going to be Ben Johnson. This guy, when a player screwed up, when a player screwed up,
he was giving a thumbs up.
When a player screwed up and you walked to the sideline, he put his finger in your face and he told you to go sit down. I mean, this guy's your father. But on top of that, Jameson Williams was a problem when he entered the NFL. He was. He had the gambling.
He still kind of is.
Then after that, he had the PED issue, and then after that, he had a 1,000-yard season. And I think that the Bears are ready to take on a challenge like this. And Luther Burden might be more than we even know. He might be a guy who they're consistently pestering at practice. He might show up late to the first day. You don't know, but I think that they have the right guys in the building to take this on. And I think it's important, like Dustin has preached for a long time. It's pathetic if you think to yourself, we passed on that tremendous
The
talent
best talent.
because we don't believe our coaches can handle it. Like, you're grown
that's
ass
your
men,
fucking
you're
job.
leaders.
That's your job. That is your
Well,
job.
I like the fact that he wants the ball in every single play. I hope it doesn't become a problem, but I like the fact that that's his mentality. I think you guys have the best chance to win if I have the ball. That's awesome. Good for him, man. There's just being confidence and cocky. Confidence,
You
cocky.
know what though?
Hopefully he's very confident.
If he's battling Rome and DJ for targets, that's good.
Guys, we've had two people ask us for draft grade now, so let's just real quick, and then we can get back to it.
If we're talking about Luther Burden, that's an A+. I projected him 39 to the Bears. I was ecstatic that they took him before the draft. That was my pick for the Bears at 39. The fact that he fell there was an absolute just steal. The Bears got the best steal of the draft. Luther Burden is the second best receiver in this draft, potentially the first in my mind. He's right behind Travis Hunter, and this guy falling at 39 was a crime. Bears got an A+ for picking him at 39 for me. I love that pick.
Are you gonna do your overall grade, Dustin? Of the draft?
I like the idea of going through each pick individually.
Did we do Colston Loveland? Did we do Colston Loveland?
No, we were talking about Burden though, so I just threw it out there because I was feeling it. I was in
I'll give my Luther Burden.
I'm
with Dustin. This is the only pick I have a perfect grade on. I did give Luther Burden an A+ as well, just because I believe you have a potential top 5 talent in the draft because of the attitude issues Sean
Green's a criminal.
mentioned, which means they exist. If this guy, who was projected to be maybe the first overall pick a year ago, I don't know if you guys remember,
He was for a little while.
Yeah, so
he was for a little
he's got
while.
an issue that other GMs were aware of and didn't want to deal with, but the Bears have faith in themselves to fix it. And I think that this guy does get right. And I think, Dustin, by all measures, talent-wise, you just got maybe the best receiver in this class. I believe that for sure.
I'm with you guys. I gave this one an A+ as well. This guy's absolutely lethal and deadly with the ball in his hands. You know, he can come out of the backfield. You can do end arounds. You can do bubble screens. There's a lot of things you can do with him. His versatility.
Star in the making.
His versatility is unbelievable. I mean, my wife can tell you, just my initial reaction was I jumped and clicked my heels. I didn't even know I did it. She said I did. I was really excited when they made this pick.
Should have been recording, Sean. Should have been recording.
I wish. I would have liked to see it too. But, you know, I
can do that.
Yeah, I was
Kyle,
in the mood for this one, so
we can go back to Loveland. We're on Burden right now. What's your grade on Burden, Kyle?
It's an A, and the only reason it's not A+ is just because what you guys just talked about. There's that 2-3% chance that his mental problems push him out of the NFL. But for me personally, guys, and people keep calling me crazy, the way he plays football reminds me of Antonio Brown, who could have been a top 3 wide receiver in NFL history if he didn't have such
might still be
issues. But
he might still be.
Yeah, he's in the top 10, no doubt about it. No doubt about it, for sure, no doubt. But Luther Burden's ceiling is by far the highest of any receiver in this draft. No doubt about it. Not to me, it's not even a question. Much higher than Ted McMillan. Much higher than Ted McMillan.
Ted McMillan's gonna be a bust.
Sean, what was that?
Not a good pick for me if I'm the the Panthers.
Back in September, it was Ted McMillan and Luther Burden 1-2 as the wide receivers in this draft.
I always thought Burden was better.
I'm just saying where the scouts had him coming.
I know
it was 1-2. So I mean, and for him to fall to 39 and to be able to pick that talent up, I agree. Maybe I should be like Kyle and knock that plus off because of the attitude problems, but I'm going to leave my faith in Antoine.
Bears coaching.
Keep him on the field.
This coaching staff is ready for this dude. They are ready for him. You saw how excited Ben Johnson and Antoine Randall.
Hold on. The new receiver room, boys. Oh,
Sean, I gotta say, Sean, this is the second time.
Well, yeah, and then you're putting him between those two.
I don't love the guy, but I mean, Zacchaeus isn't like use. I mean, the guy he'll make some plays for them.
No, but I like you know what? Again, Kyle, this goes back to the beginning. This is competition in that room. And
I know, but you never put him in the pictures there. He got 500 yards. He had 500 yards and like 5 touchdowns.
Zacchaeus is not picture worthy, Kyle. Get out of here.
Zacchaeus
is not picture worthy.
I like
He should not be in that picture.
He likes Zacchaeus.
He's on the Mount
He's there.
Rushmore. Get out of here. No,
It's not a Mount Rushmore.
That's 4 guys heads all in a row. That is a Mount Rushmore pick.
Yeah, but
He's on the outside taking the picture.
take Caleb out,
taking the
put Zacchaeus in there, and just make a 4 wide receiver picture. Zacchaeus is going to make plays for this team. You guys are going to like
I agree
Zacchaeus.
100%.
You're going to
I
like.
agree 100%. I think
People like him in the Super Bowl. They loved him in the Super Bowl.
Melon Smasher.
Hold on, you know what?
Melon
You know what
Smasher is new.
Zacchaeus is, Kyle? He's an insurance piece. If the attitude of Burden doesn't work out for the Bears, you plug that guy in. He's professional.
I have zero concern
I'm
about
just
Luther
saying, you
Burden.
never
Guys, I'm
know,
not
you
even
never
talking
know.
about Burden. I'm not talking about Burden not working out. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith played in the Super Bowl, and Zacchaeus stood out on them all. You're gonna like this guy. He's gonna make plays for the Bears.
Sean, we got Melon Smasher, a new guy in the chat. If you're not subscribed, what the hell are you doing?
Melon Smasher.
Hit that like button. Thanks for being here, brother. Appreciate you.
Who's the comedian that used to smash melons?
Oh, that's what's his name?
Gallagher.
Gallagher.
Yes.
I'm gonna call you that.
Okay, so let's go to the Loveland pick, guys. What do we got?
Type of shit gets you fired.
Melon smashing type shit.
I'll start with Colston Loveland.
What's up? Go.
I have Colston Loveland as an A-. I love the pick. I love the player. I think that he's one of 2 best tight ends in this draft, guys. I'm not discrediting Tyler Warren. I still think he's an incredible athlete or incredible talent that's going to be utilized in that way in the NFL, especially because Anthony Richardson can't throw.
Kenny Adams, what up?
But I love Colston Loveland on this offense. 2 tight end sets. I think Cole Kmet's a quality player. I think Colston Loveland ends up being a better player. I also believe that Colston Loveland has the potential to be the guys I don't know about Tony Gonzalez, Dustin, but I'm okay with the George. I'm okay with the George Kittle comparison. I don't know that tight end guys right there at that 10th spot. I don't know that tight end is where I think the Bears should have gone. I'm giving the pick an A- for that reason alone, not because of Tyler Warren, just because tight end at 10 to me was a little steep. I do love the player, though. It's the pick itself that I'm giving an A- to.
I'm giving the pick an A solely because it was Ben Johnson's pick all the way. Ben Johnson wanted this guy. He told Ryan Poles, this is the guy I need to unlock my offense. And no one was more excited that this guy was a Chicago Bear than Ben Johnson. If you trust Ben Johnson and you wanted this guy to be the architect of your offense and the head coach of your football team, then you have to love this pick. That was leading up to it. It was all the smoke, and then it turned into fire. Loveland was the guy the Bears had over Warren. They didn't just settle because Warren got taken. They took Loveland over Warren because he was a better fit for what Ben Johnson wanted. Great route runner, great yards after the catch, can make guys miss, can line them up anywhere in the offense, which you could not do with Tyler Warren. I'm sorry, Sean, you couldn't. You can put this guy in the slot, and he's going to be your number 1 red zone threat. I love this pick for Ben Johnson, and I love this pick for the Chicago Bears, giving it an A.
Well, I disagree on the assessment of Tyler Warren. I think they both would have been just fine in this offense. With that being said, I think that the things you say do track there, Dustin. I think this guy has a great blend of size. He has a great route tree. He kind of, I said the other day, kind of reminds me a little bit of Mark Andrews. So I'm going to give this pick an A. Same reason, kind of, if it wasn't Tyler Warren, I kind of wanted them to go Mekhi Williams, fills a big need. But I'm sure watching this guy over the next couple of years, I'm going to fall in love with him. I mean, he's basically a big wideout and good yak ability. So, yeah, I'll give it an A.
And he's a good blocker, too. He's
He's an okay blocker. If you look over 90% of scouting reports, every single one says he needs more redefined blocking skills. He's certainly not an inline blocker, which I do think we're going to see a lot more out of Cole Kmet and Durham Smythe this year.
I'm good with Cole Kmet getting dirty and Loveland running down the field.
Sean, you've read more than I do. You do for sure. I read that his inline blocking is what's good. His down the field blocking is egregious. That's what I read about.
Melon Smasher knows all about being broke and catching ball.
Good God.
Love you, Notorious. That's awesome.
Yeah, real quick, just to
Well
guys
played,
keep
sir.
talking, the chat here. Everybody relax a little bit.
Yeah,
And
we got a
it's-
little bit of back and
yeah,
forth
it's
going
not-
on.
it's
I'm
not
not going to
second-
really show a lot of that.
Secondly, you guys, if you're trying to change your
we got
culture,
Lions fans
you
in
don't
here,
draft
so-
a player with sexual assault charges. It's just not a good look for any team in the
Yeah,
NFL.
Mike Green
Mike
was
Green
not
should
an
never be
option.
on this. I am so happy he is not on the Chicago Bears. You
There's a
don't
difference
draft guys
between Luther Burden's character
Yeah, and those-
concerns and Mike Green
Yeah,
and
you're
Isaiah
You're talking
Vine.
about a guy who
Big
should be in
difference.
jail, let alone not playing in the NFL.
Those,
but yeah,
those allegations are not behind him yet, I don't believe either.
No,
Yeah,
they're
when
not.
it comes to Colston Loveland, to me, this is an A. Once again, Colston Loveland, people keep saying, oh, he's not very good at 50-50 balls. Well, you don't have to be very good at 50-50 balls if you're the best route runner in the football and you're creating separation. There's not going to be many 50-50
And if you're being
balls.
designed open by Ben Johnson, Kyle.
You guys, there wasn't a lot of 50-50 ball opportunities for Colston Loveland because he's always open because he's amazing at route running. As a matter of fact, he was by all accounts the best route runner in this draft outside of Edmetka and Puka. This is a guy who's going. There's no way he could be. There's no way to match up against him. You can put him basically wherever you want. He's going to be an absolute nightmare and headache for defenses. And as good as he was going to be in the NFL anyway, if he got drafted somewhere else, he's going to be that much better under Ben Johnson. He's going to be absolutely amazing in Chicago. And you guys, all Bears fans at some point are going to end up buying a Colston Loveland jersey. Mark my words. He's going to be one of the Chicago favorites. No doubt about it. This guy is 6'4", 250 pounds, 6'5", 200. He's an absolute beast, and he's going to continue to be a beast in the NFL. And I don't think it's going to take very long.
Yeah, he's huge. These two.
So what was your grade, Kyle? A. So we got an A, and Sean, yours was a.
The only reason it's not an A+ guys is because
So we're A and A+.
At the time, I think he could have got picked at 13, 14, 15. That's what and you guys heard me say it would have been a reach on the show a couple weeks ago. I still think that it was a little bit of a reach, but maybe nobody was willing to trade back for the Bears. So.
People were trying to trade up to get
then that came out after I said it would be a reach, but now you're hearing these guys saying people are trying to trade up to get them. So obviously, not as big of a reach as
they weren't even going to pick them. They got so many.
You guys, when we were looking at draft projections before the draft, not many people were talking about Colston Loveland in the top 10. I mean, that came like a couple weeks before the draft that people started mentioning his name.
Well, right now we got an A, overall A for Colston. We got an A+ for Luther Burden. I mean, that's pretty damn solid so far. Then we got the Ozzy Trapilo.
And really quick, no one knew about this, but if you listen to Ben Johnson left Michigan's pro day glowing about Colston Loveland. He loved him from that day. He said it in his own press conference. So this goes back to that pro day visit that he had with Colston Loveland. He said that everybody in Michigan respected him. Everybody loved him. His teammates glowed about him. This was a guy that exudes everything to change the culture in Chicago that they wanted to bring here. So.
Okay. What do we got on the Ozzy Trapilo pick? Trapilo, whatever. How do you say it?
Trapilo.
Yeah. What do you got, Sean? Go for it.
I gave it a B+. I did. I mean, I looked at his tape. I looked at his size. I looked at what he can do. The thing, cut may have been a little bit higher. The thing I didn't really like about it was the fact that his fit reads he's a better right tackle than left tackle. And again, I don't want to create problems on the Bears. I like Darnell Wright on the right side. I think he's going to be an all-pro there for the next decade.
His name's not Darnell Left.
So hopefully
he's not Darnell Wright for nothing.
If you guys could go one show without a pun, I'm going to give you each $50.
Hey, Kyle, you think Colston came to the Loveland because Tyler wasn't warranted?
Oh, geez.
I thought that would piss him off.
Yeah.
He's not fucking. He's pissed.
All right, Brandon, what do you got on this Trapilo?
I'm gonna give it a C+, guys. I don't love it. I don't love the future vision here. And you know what? I'm not gonna blame the Bears for this. Ariete Ersu was taken 8 picks before this, which just really sucks. But I don't know that he's your potential future left tackle. I don't know that he's your potential guard. He's not Joe Tooney. I don't know where this guy fits. And I do think, Dustin, that Andrew Makuba was the much better pick there. I really do, guys. I think when it comes to depth, I think the safety position is going to be the first one you have to address when it comes to filling in that role. And I think there's probably tackles who were graded somewhere around the talent that Trapilo provides, maybe even a little later in this draft. So I don't know. I don't think that he's your future left tackle, and I think if he is, you need to replace Braxton Jones today. So I think C+. Kyle has been a big advocate of offensive line depth. The Bears got some by a guy who can swing. I mean, that's good. Sean said he played an equal amount of snaps at left, equal amount of games at left, equal amount of games at right. I love that about this player. He's a big dude. He's a physical dude. I did go watch some film. This guy he's one of those. He's probably an asshole kind of player. He's got some aggression in him for sure, and I like those dogs, dude. So I give it a C plus.
I give it a B minus, man. I think that you potentially think that this guy could be your left tackle. At worst case scenario, he's a swing tackle that will fill in very well for either which one of those guys, right or left, that go down with injury, which does feel inevitable. I do agree that safety and edge were two positions that needed to be addressed in this draft, and the fact that they weren't really kind of bothers me. But we did need to address offensive line as well, and the Bears are deeper and better at O-line because of this draft pick. So it's got to be a B to me. I like the kid. I like it better than my initial reaction, but I would have gone Tate Ratledge over him in that spot if I was going to go O-lineman.
I'm with you.
Have you guys seen a? Listen, this is petty, but have you guys seen this kid?
He looks like Shane Gillis. He looks like Antonio Brown took Shane Gillis's face and put him on a BC.
He looks like a giant baby that's about to do the truffle shuffle at any moment. That's like
Kyle, what do you got on this pick?
I'm giving it a B plus, man. Obviously, of all the tackles we talked about before the draft, Ozzy Trapilo was not on any of our second round predictions, but I think he's going to be a very good player. If you go watch the tape, guys. I watched it for about 3 hours last night. He is an absolute man. He pancakes almost every single block. He never gives up on a block, even when the whistle is blown. He is still throwing people to the ground. He's also capable of picking up multiple players at the same time. I'll send you guys a little video after we're done here. I'll send you guys one of the best blocks I've ever seen in football history of him taking 3 players on and literally pushing one of them back by basically his face, and then has 2 more on his right arm. I mean, this guy is absolutely huge.
He's a beast. He's a beast for sure.
Huge dude. It's just getting around him is tough, even if he's not touching you or moving. He is, I think, going to be one of the best pass protecting tackles in the NFL. The reason I give it a B is because we just don't know what he is as a run blocker, and that seems to be where, by all accounts, if you look on NFLDraftBuzz.com, they say this guy might be the best pass protector in college, but he's very slow at getting downfield and run blocking. So,
and we don't know what position he's going to play too, which is.
And I heard I heard his deadlift was like outrageous.
He's a mammoth of a man. He is a beast. It's a solid pick for where they got him. He could end up being better than Ariante Ursery. I think Ursery is a big project, to be quite honest. And Trapilo might be more settled into like a consistent player earlier on in his career.
Yeah, they said Ursery didn't fit the Bears scheme, so he was never on the Bears board, from what I understand either.
Nice. Shemar Turner is our next pick here, guys. What are we giving the Bears on this one?
I like the pick. I gave it a B, nothing higher. I almost went C plus. I like the possibility of his versatility, edge, hand in the dirt, like we talked about a little bit earlier. The injury, the rod. Let's see how he comes back from that. I don't hate the pick. I just don't love it. So I gave it a B. Like I said, it was almost a C plus, but I gave it a solid B. There's a couple other guys. I could have went safety there.
Makuba.
Yeah. There's
you could have went Darius Alexander there as well. A straight 3 technique that pushes the pocket. It's a B minus for me because of that. I thought there were better players on the board. I think Shemar Turner is a good player. I like the pick, but I would have liked other guys better in that spot, and that's really where I fall. But I think he's going to be a solid rotational player on this Bears defensive line.
I do too.
I'm giving this a B plus. I think because of the injuries, strictly why the Bears were even able to draft this kid. And like I said, I've watched a lot of tape now because you guys know how I feel about defense. I want somebody to be able to get to the quarterback. So when they drafted a defensive lineman, my first place to look was how does he do rushing the pass. And now that I'm reading and watching the film of this kid moving inside and out, and a 3 front too. I mean, this kid was playing edge when there was only 3 guys on the line, which for a 290 pounder. It's a lot to take on. This guy is pure power. He's just powerful, and I
Brandon likes the pick.
Really like the idea.
No, the Bears are not going to sell the team.
I really like the idea of this kid playing on the edge. I'm going to give him a B plus because of the versatility, and I hope to see them try to get some pass rush out of this kid on the outside.
Kyle, what you got?
I'm going to give it a B, and the reason I'm going to give it a B is because of that injury. I mean, like I said, guys, I like Shemar Turner. I think he's going to be a good player in the NFL if he can stay healthy. The question is, can he stay healthy? Vernon just talked about it. The reason he fell to the second round in the Chicago Bears, it was because of that injury, and the reason that people fall in the draft is because injury concerns, and they're worried that that's effect. Listen, you guys, every day he wakes up for the rest of his life, he's probably going to know that there's a rod in his leg. He's going to feel it. We all have those injuries. We know it. Sean, you know it most of all. Those injuries bother you for the rest of your life. Hopefully it's something that he can just kind of keep under control and kind of ignore until his career is
drugs.
Yeah, something. But he's a good player for sure. There's no doubt about it. Definitely a good player. Yeah, but I agree with Dustin. I just think Lott was better. I think Lott was better.
There was better players on the board.
The funny
nothing
thing
against Turner. It's
if he
just
doesn't
I
have
think
that
lots of
rod,
better
Jesus,
players.
Kyle fucking hates this guy.
Top three pick, or a top 3 rounds in the first 3 rounds. He probably is. If
Which
not
a gut punch watching this draft.
I thought it was a damn good draft. I mean, overall, when you look at what the Bears got, and a damn good offseason, as Brandon was saying. We're on to our next pick here.
Ruben Heppelite. I'm just gonna say this. I wrote D. Holy Reach Batman.
D. Giant reach. It was a D. I mean, you could have gotten this guy later, but they obviously
I would have given an F if he wasn't so damn fast, but I'll leave him at a D because of his speed.
It's a D. It's a D. It's a D for me. That's all I'll say. I don't know much about this kid. It was a huge reach. D. Only a D because of what they.
I'm going to give it a D minus. I'm with New Harper, and I'm not going to do that, guys, strictly because of the player. I'm going to do it because where he was taken. The value of this pick is awful.
Yeah, exactly.
It's probably. We're focused a little more on the Bears because we're Bears fans. It's probably the most egregious pick in this draft. It probably appalled me the most. When Kyle said on air that this guy was a projected undrafted free agent, I wanted to punch my phone in the face.
So weird.
This is annoying. And guys, on top of that,
there were better players.
There's nothing good to read about this guy besides speed. He's not. Kyle said it. He played 310 snaps in coverage. He had 0 pass deflections, 0 interceptions, and the quarterbacks throwing against him had an over 90% passer rating. This is not good. This kid's clearly that Jack Sanborn role, and he's only ever going to touch the field when the running back's getting the ball. But that's not a guy you take. A, it's not a guy you take higher than where he should have been projected, and B, it's not a guy you take in the 4th. This isn't a 4th round pick.
There were better players.
7th round pick.
Yeah, you could have got him later. That was
and strictly because of his speed, or he's not a round pick at all. He's an 8th round.
Listen, hopefully Kyle. I'm gonna let you go, but I just want to say, hopefully we're wrong about this. Hopefully this guy has a very specific role. Dennis Allen has a very specific role for him in mind.
Scott Hart.
You didn't draft him in the 4th round because you just want him to be a special teams contributor. Dennis Allen might have something in mind for this guy, and maybe we're all wrong. Hopefully we are, but on the surface, this looks rough.
No sacks either, man. So I don't know what the package is for this kid, man.
Kyle.
It's an F for me, guys. I mean, first of all, you traded out of a spot where there was plenty of proven talent still available. Like Justin said he was not the best player available. He wasn't the best linebacker available when the Bears drafted him. The Bears passed on guys like Cody Simon, who had over 100 tackles his last year. I mean, there's just really nothing good about this pick. And like you guys, I don't even need to bring it up. If you love this guy that much and you're like, we see something nobody else does, sure, fine, great, awesome. Then pick him in the 7th round.
Let him be there where he's going to be there. If nobody else sees it, get the value.
Nobody else sees it. That's why nobody else was going to draft him in the 4th round because nobody else saw it but the Bears. So
you were competing with yourself. You were competing with yourself for this pick, and
this is that one pick a year where Ryan poses like I'm smarter than everybody else in the world. That's what this pick was.
Well, Dennis Allen probably had a lot to say about it.
Yeah, Dennis Allen 100% because he came out in his interview and said me and DA had a really good conversation. So obviously Dennis Allen was telling Poles, but I don't think Dennis Allen was like, hey, Poles, can you draft him in the 4th? Just so we're sure that we get him.
Yeah, he probably said call him after the draft for me.
I think linebackers did go higher than we expected going into this draft, guys. I will say that. Linebackers
for the best linebacker in the NFL falling to the last pick in the 1st round.
This kid was a projected. This kid was a projected
went higher.
It was a projected 9th round pick.
All right, on to the next pick, guys. We spent enough time on Ruben Hippolyte.
I want to talk about him more.
No.
Oh boy.
No.
What we got, Sean?
Luke Newman. I gave this pick an A, man. To get a guy like this late in the draft.
Wait, Sean, we skipped one.
Osmonic.
Who did we skip?
Who did you just say? Luke Newman?
Oh, Zay
Fraser.
Oh, sorry. I give that a B plus, man. And low key could be the steal of this draft, man. I love the fact that
I like him a lot.
Steal of the
this
draft.
L. Harris guy. I love that he had
That's
15
burden.
passes defense, 9 pass breakups, 6 interceptions.
That's hippo.
Like he does something. I know you guys said he's a little bit skinny, very, very fast. If he doesn't contribute right on the field, he'll be a special teamer. I really like this pick. Good depth piece for that secondary.
Osmonic thanked us for cooking the Ruben Hippolyte pick because it was terrible.
They stopped me, Osmonic. I had more to say.
No, we're done. Thank you for joining us, Osmonic. Make sure you hit that like button, man. I've never seen that. Yeah. Brandon, what do you got on Zay Frazier?
I'm gonna give it a B. I wanted again. You want to get yourself a guy who can play on the outside. I think a safety was more important here, guys. Even now, like we talked about passing on Makuba, but here again, there was still some safeties available. I wanted a safety. If we're gonna go DB, I didn't think a cornerback was the place you should go. Sure, you did lose a guy like Jalen Jones this offseason, but by all measures, he seems like he's gonna be a really good player.
I give this an A. I think this guy's going to be a stud. I think this was a great value at pick 169. I love his size. I love his speed. I love his ball hawking ability. I think this guy is a quick contributor to the Bears defense. If you guys remember, I said Tyreek Stevenson was going to be a starter as soon as he was drafted, and I loved him. And I still have hope for Tyreek Stevenson. He had a down season, but I love that they brought in this guy to compete with Tyreek because this is another guy who's got some physical traits that are going to translate really well to the NFL, and I'm excited to watch him play.
Melon Smasher wanted Najee here. All right, that's different conversation. Yeah, I'm going to give this one a
Greg Greenlaw, who injured himself lifting weights.
Najee Harris is horrendous. But anyway, they didn't even pick up his 5th-year option. Anyway, Zay Frazier is an A for me, you guys. And we talked about this a million times. So a lot of teams draft people based off of their physical traits like speed. A lot of teams draft people based off of their stats. They drafted a guy based off both. This guy's a ball hog. He had 6 picks, and he's one of the fastest corners in the draft. This guy is 100% going to be groomed to be a starter in the NFL. He is not here to be a backup. They expect this guy at some point to start in the NFL. And I think with the right coaching, a la Al Harris, he is going to be exactly what they want him to be. I love this pick. This is probably, to me, you guys already heard me say, this is my favorite pick in this draft outside of Loveland and Burden.
It's an A. It's an A. About it. I love it. Yep. Sean, what we got next?
Luke Newman.
I
gave it an A, man. I did 55th out of 1,730 guards since 87 on his RAS score. What would we give up? 1 sack and 739 snaps at Holy Cross and MSU. He dominated at guard and center. I love his versatility. This is probably, I would say, the backup center on this team. And I also love that he's from Brother Rice, repping Chicago. So welcome home, and I think this could be another late steal for the Chicago Bears, and this guy can contribute in a lot of ways. Again, guard and center, very versatile. Love Mr. Newman from the Spartans.
B+. Brandon, as I said, and you said you were thinking the same thing, I am always good with a guy who played in the Big Ten and interior O-lineman with a late pick. This guy who can acquit themselves well against really good competition in a really tough division that is all about the line of scrimmage. And this guy went, as I said, 723 snaps, 417 his last year at Michigan State without allowing a sack at all. 723 in his last 2 years, only allowing 1 sack. This guy is going to be immediate solid depth for this Bears team and could turn into a starter when you move on from Jonah Jackson or Joe Thuney. I love this pick.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an A. This guy played in the Division II conference. He was 3-time first All-Patriot, which is they're all pro. And then he moved up to play with the big boys guys in the Big Ten, and he was first team All-American. This guy didn't miss a beat. When his competition grew stronger, he got better. And I do think, guys, this is an immediate starting caliber player. I'm not saying this guy's going to plug in and be the starter for the Bears. What I mean is he's not developmental. He's not a guy who's going to have to sit behind somebody. If Jonah Jackson goes down in week 1, I think you have a solid starting caliber player in Luke Newman already. Michigan State wasn't a very talented team last year, guys. But this is the guy that stood out. If there was a player I was going to draft off that team, this is him. I believe this dude is a stud. And Dustin, I don't know where it's going to be, but there is a future place for this kid somewhere on this football team for sure.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, A minus. Luke Newman is. You know what I love? I love when tackles are converted into guards and they are much better guards. That means that they had the size to play tackle, but they just didn't have the speed, so they moved him to guard where they don't need that same speed. This guy is obviously going to be a very good guard in the NFL. I think it's worst case scenario, one of the best backups on the Bears for the next 5-10 years. Best case scenario, a starting guard who's going to take the job of Jonah Jackson if he continues to struggle or play injured. And at some point, the Bears needed to draft offensive linemen. They did it in this draft with two guys who are definitely going to have an impact here in Chicago this season. I believe that both these guys are going to have it. They're both going to play substantial snaps for this team. I'm happy with both these offensive linemen. Couldn't
This
be happier the way
line looks so much better because of those two draft picks, Kyle.
Well,
so
and another reason I want to give this an A, guys, is because it's not none of us have really said this, and I don't want to preach it like it's going to come to fruition because this is just something I've read. But once again,
thanks, Aunt Mass.
One of the Bears scouting directors said the reason we love this kid so much is when he was here at our facility, the snaps at center is what impressed us the most. This might be your future backup center. If Drew Dolman goes down, we screamed at each other for half an hour about the depth on this offensive line. You've got two positions possibly locked down with one kid here.
Exactly, Brandon. Well said. What do we got next, Sean?
We got the Kyle Nana guy. I gave this
the Kyle.
None guy.
He's the Kyle.
I gave it an A for getting this guy, and he's kind of a throwback type, strong physical, not over dynamic or fast, but fits the short yardage, red zone situations. I love the fact that he's a consistent performer, doesn't fumble the ball, 676 carries without a fumble. Guys, he had 139 forced missed tackles since 2023. That is a number one in the entire national or NCAA football conference league. Like, he may not be the Hampton or the Genty that we wanted, but I think this guy is going to be a serviceable 2-down, short yardage, red zone back that will carve out a role for the Chicago Bears. So I gave it an A. Walmart Genty. That works. Walmart Genty. I like it.
I go to Walmart often, so I'm good with that. Brandon, what do you got?
Let's make it quick, guys. Like I said, guys, we talked about this pretty in depth. I think when the Bears realized they weren't getting their future 3-down back, they wanted to find a guy who filled a role that they desperately rely on. Well, at least last year in Detroit, Ben Johnson did pretty heavily. This is a guy who falls forward. This is a guy who gets the extra yard. This is a guy who doesn't step out of bounds when there's a big hit coming his way. He takes the lick and he tries to get what else is left. I like this player. I think he's got a motor, and I think that he's going to take a bruising because he's willing to. And I love a guy like this on the goal line. I love a guy like this anywhere on the field. If you're in 3rd and short, 4th and short, 2nd and short, this is a short yardage back, and I think he's going to get that extra yard when you need it for sure.
My favorite stat about Kyle Mononga is 707 carries without a fumble. Bears coaches are going to love the dependability of this kid. He is going to get opportunity because of it if he maintains that going into the NFL. I'm going to give this a solid B. This was a B. It was close to a B minus.
I didn't grade it.
I thought you did. I thought you started with a grade. What's the grade?
I was going to say B.
Yeah, I'm a B as well. B minus potentially. I'll call it a B because I like the value in the 7th round. I think this guy could have been a 5th round pick. I don't know that he's going to set the world on fire, but he'll do the job the Bears need. He'll be dependable. He'll be reliable, and he'll be a part of this offense. So to get that in the 7th round, that's a steal in a way. Okay, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think he's going to be anything close to Genty, but I like this pick for the Bears where they got him. I'm good.
He's a Walmart Genty.
And real quick, Kyle, before you go, there was an ESPN NFL analyst who graded every team's draft the morning after the draft was over. He said, and I think strictly because of usage, the opportunity Kyle Mononga will have, this could end up being the pick that has the most value of all of the picks the Bears made this year.
I find that to be bullshit, but okay.
Yeah, I do because Luther Burden is. But
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'll give it a B plus. I mean, this if you look at Ian Wheeler, you look at Roshan Johnson, you look at DeAndre Swift, they all have similarities. This guy is a completely different type of player. He is brought here specifically for a role. He's going to play that role. He's a short yardage player. I think with Roshan Johnson, Dr. Ian Wheeler, DeAndre Swift, and Kyle Monangai, your running back room looks actually a lot better than Bears fans are going to make credit for it. And everybody in the chat here keeps saying, "I can't catch, you can't catch, you can't catch." Yeah, well, that's solely why DeAndre Swift exists.
We have
the
DeAndre
NFL.
Swift.
Why
We
would you
don't
be
need
passing
that.
it
a
to
top 5
Monangai
receiving back
if
in the
DeAndre
NFL.
Swift just paid $24 million over
got
3
Swift
years?
for that.
Don't pass it to Monangai. Pass it to Swift in open space. This is, to me, was the cherry on top in the running back room until they can get their Jahmyr Gibbs. I love it.
Okay, very good. So I mean, we went like a solid B on Monangai. We went B plus on Luke Newman, right? We went an A, B plus A on Zay Frazier.
Amen.
Luke Newman as an A for sure.
I'm talking about collectively. I'm trying to collectively get it.
Ruben
together.
Hippolyte is a D minus because I gave him an F.
Was a D minus, yes, Ruben Hippolyte. So that really brings down your draft grade, right? And then we had Shemar Turner was a B.
Ozzy Trapilo
was a B. And then we had A plus. Lou Burton was an A. Oh, yeah, I guess an A because we had 2 A pluses and 2 A's. And then we had the A on Colston Loveland. So overall, this is a B plus A minus draft by the 4-star Chicago Sports hosts on this Chicago Bears draft. We're giving it a B plus A minus, guys.
The B plus,
pretty solid.
If it was a B plus, that would rank them around 7, like Dane Brugler said. I feel like we were doing.
Mel Kiper had him at a B plus as well, man. I mean, that's kind of people love this. Outside people love this draft for the Chicago Bears. I love this draft for the Chicago Bears.
No disrespect to Melon Smasher or the Lions fan in here, guys, but Dane Brugler is. He's got a lot. He's a pretty reliable guy when it comes to the NFL, and he says,
and he's got the Lions pretty down low there. So
he has them at 21. The Lions had him at 21. Oh, Kuiper sucks.
Listen, when you win like the Lions do,
the NFC North
and you spend picks to get better.
Doing good.
It's tough. The Vikings only had 4 picks. They turned it into 5, and the Lions only had 6 picks, I believe, something like that. So I mean, and they're later picks, so it is what it is. You got to make the best of it. If the Bears were in prime position to have the best draft of the NFC North,
the Lions
they went and did it. That's what
Luther Burden is anything like Antonio Brown or Deebo Samuel. That's the best pick in this draft.
When the Lions passed on Jihad,
look at that comment from New Harper, guys. Good draft, better podcast. Great job, gentlemen.
We like
Thanks,
that comment.
Appreciate you, bro.
Thank you, man.
I think when the Lions passed on Jihad Campbell, whatever grade they had dropped like 2.
Yeah, you're stacked with everything but coaches, Don. You need coaches, bro. You lost all your coaches.
The Bears not getting a safety and an edge in this draft is what would turn it to a B plus for me. It could be an A, but you didn't address safety. You didn't address edge. And those are 2 huge positions of need that I thought the Bears needed to address in this draft. That knocks it down a little bit for me on the overall scope. And we got 70 people with us right now, guys. Fuck yeah.
Guys, tell us in the comments what you think of this Bears draft.
Yeah, leave a comment. Give your grades. We'll talk. We'll reply. We'll talk to you guys.
Let us know what you think. I think this Bears draft is being graded high by pretty much every major source. Anybody who's got any credibility at all, they're at least in the top 10. I did see them as number 1 on a grade.
It's a general consensus. General consensus. If you don't believe one person, Don, Melon Smasher, believe the majority. These guys are paid to talk about football. They all think the Bears had a great.
What's great about talking football is everybody can have their opinion. If they think it was a bad draft, that's their opinion to have. Sure. But at the end of the day, I think the consensus is that the Bears kind of nailed this draft.
The Bears had a terrible draft. The Lions had a good draft. That's just biased. Like
what team do you guys think had the best draft in the NFL?
Probably the Patriots.
I think the Patriots and then the Giants.
I put the Cowboys right up there too.
Patriots. Sean, what do you think?
I'm with the Patriots. I don't know.
Mike Vrabel, man.
I really like Kansas City's draft this year as well, man. I thought they did really good.
I'm going to say
Seattle. Kansas City, he agrees with you. The Giants had a great draft. The Seahawks had a great draft.
Yes, I think Seattle had the best draft this year, which really surprised me because they usually kind of suck ass. So
Patriots, Giants, Seattle are all in that top 5. I put the Cowboys in that top 5, and probably the Browns, and then the Bears are right there on the outside.
Yeah,
of
if
that.
the Browns
guys,
had taken one player that wasn't Dylan Gabriel, their draft would have been the best. Honest to God,
guys,
man. If they had-
I just don't think, for me personally, listen, all these teams have good drafts, but if Abdul Carter becomes the staple on that defense and Jackson Dart becomes a franchise quarterback, you can't. That has to be the best. Darius Alexander, and Cam Scatterbo to follow those two up. And I know you guys don't love Cam Scatterbo, but he plays a very particular role for that team as well.
Anybody who knows anything about evaluating prospects says you can't grade a draft right after it happens and be accurate. You need to wait 2 to 3 years to see how these guys pan out. So you're 100% correct. Those guys turn into that.
GMs are actually.
I love the Falcons draft too. Melon Smasher. Thank you for bringing that up and reminding me. I love what the Falcons did with getting those 2 edge rushers and Jelon Walker and James Pierce, and then going and getting Watts in the 3rd round.
With 4 picks, they made it happen, dude.
They had a hell of a draft for Raheem Morris. Watch out for the Falcons, guys.
And I'll tell you this: another team is Arizona with Nolan, Will Johnson, Jordan Birch, Cordy
another
Simon,
great draft.
Will Johnson
very
was
good
such a
draft.
steal.
I think Arizona
Cardinals killed it. Cardinals killed it. Cardinals got a lot better. They got a lot better.
Cardinals got a lot better.
The NFC had a much better draft than the AFC.
Talking about waiting
For me
years
personally.
to grade a draft, GMs are actually graded on drafts based on the second. How many players get second contracts? That's how GMs are graded on their drafts.
Yeah,
Is the player retained on the team that
That's why you got to wait 3 years to judge these things. But it's gonna be a lot of fun watching these players for the Bears over the next few years and continuing to grade them and seeing how they pan out. Man, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Real quick, one more thing I want to ask you before you or the 3 guys. Fantasy sleeper today, rookie fantasy sleeper today.
Judkins.
Kyle,
Judkins.
Blue.
a rookie you're willing to draft in fantasy.
Judkins.
Blue.
Sean,
Oh, Caleb Johnson all day. He fell into a perfect situation in Pittsburgh.
Yeah,
I'm gonna throw a straight. I'm going Brashard Smith.
Yeah,
The Chiefs selected. This is a Devon A-Chain type player.
Carlson,
Andy Reid is going to get this kid.
Let me ask you guys a question. Every
He's
player
gonna
you guys
be
just
frightening.
mentioned, every guy you guys just mentioned, I can tell you their spellback, right? We know who Judkins' spellback is. We know who, Sean, you just said that Caleb Johnson. Who is Blue spellback?
Yeah, that's tough.
Rico Dowdle gone?
Yeah,
He's gone.
Dowdle is a free agent. Yeah. I mean,
Who's the spellback? It's Ezekiel Elliott's gone. Who's there? There's nobody there.
Yeah,
Nobody there.
The only thing I question about Jaden Blue
And the Cowboys' offensive line is awesome. It's not like he's going to a bad
said,
situation.
now that they added Tyler Booker, they're really damn awesome.
Yeah.
That's what
I'll
running
give
the
you-
ball
I'll give
there
you-
for years, man.
Hampton
I'll
on
give
the
you
Chargers.
one more.
Hampton on the Chargers.
I'll
That's
give
a
you
good
one more, and I it's RJ
Luther
Harvey
Burden.
in Denver.
Denver. Yeah.
Zero competition, great offensive line, good quarterback, good wide receivers. Watch the fuck out. I told you guys he's a sleeper of this draft. He couldn't have fell into a better situation than he
That's
did.
got to be a segment, Sean.
Vernon, if you're
Sean,
asking,
watch the fuck out
Pat
pick of the
Bryant.
week.
Vernon, if you're asking who
I
the
want
best,
that, Sean.
Vernon, if you're asking who the best
Watch the
rookie,
fuck out pick.
who the best rookie is going to be in fantasy, it's going to be Ashton GNT.
Yeah. Pat Bryant.
Guys,
On the
Guaranteed.
Broncos.
this has been a lot of fun. I mean, we're at 2 hours.
Hey,
and 40
really
minutes.
quick.
What are we doing?
Can I give
man?
a shout out? Can I give a shout out to
course.
Jeremiah Robinson really quick? I know no one knows who that is, but he's the Kansas Jayhawk that is the
Jesus.
newest Chicago Bear. 6'3", 265-pound edge, 22 tackles, 5.5 sacks, 2
Okay.
fumble recoveries, 1
Let's
forced
see how it
fumble,
goes. Very
rock
good.
chalk.
The Bears are
And-
doing some decent stuff in undrafted free agency as well. Yeah.
Let's go. I just got to give props to my Jayhawks. We didn't get enough drafted in this draft, but that's okay. Devin Neal went to an unfortunate
Sounds about
situation.
right, Sean. It sounds about right.
Hey, listen, easy.
Sounds about
Melon
right.
Smasher Barkley's the best player in fantasy, not just the best running back.
Okay. This has been a blast, guys. I've had a lot of fun. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
a great show. Everybody, thanks for who was in the chat. We had so many, too many to name, but thank you all for being here. If you didn't hit that like button, please make sure you do it now. Leave a comment. Tell us what you think the Bears got grade-wise. We'll chat back with you. Hit us up at 4starchicagosports.com. We got Barely There podcast on Wednesday, Bare Minimum on Thursday. Saturday, we got the Northside 9. We got all kinds of content coming at you guys, so please hang with us.
Sean, when is Alex Pat on the show?
Alex Pat will be returning to the show on May 10th. I
So
believe.
one of the
Hold on, let me
Cubs
just double
basically
check. Yes, May 10th, 2 weeks.
Okay, awesome.
The day before Mother's
in
Day,
the
Alex
Cubs media
Pat
world,
returned.
he will be here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks everybody who watched.
Let's
guys.
hang it
Really
up.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
yeah. This
Yeah,
is our
and real
longest
quick,
show
guys,
ever, boys.
Real quick, guys, we're gonna in May. We're also gonna have an NFL agent on either Monday or Wednesday, and he's gonna break down some of these contracts for you. Sean, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, I was actually going to switch it up
Oh,
and do the
God
Seth
damn it.
Rollins.
Oh,
do the
yeah.
Seth Rollins thing.
That's
Should I
way too
just-
long. No, I already sat through that 7 times. I can't do that again. That's way too long, Sean. Just go to the green.
Anything you want to get out there before we wrap up?
Shit, fuck Green Bay.
All right.
Fuck yeah.
Let's go.
Fuck yeah.
That'll
Tell you what, clip up the Seth Rollins thing, get a 10-second one out of there, and we can roll with that. But he was on there for 5 minutes talking shit. That's too much.
I only have a 2-minute clip. I already did.
Oh,
chop it.
that's oh yeah. See, and they chopped it down to 2 minutes. All right, love you
I'll
guys.
chop it down even more. for
Bear
you.
down, everybody.
Yeah,
Have
appreciate
a great
Bear
everybody.
down,
Appreciate
everybody.
Lindsay. Appreciate Bruce. Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, everybody.
day.